What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 8MJ Chapter 176 Sakura Flowers Blooming in Winter, please order in full. I'm going to ask Dr. Doriel, only she can cure this disease. After Chopper finished speaking, he turned into a reindeer and ran away. It's so cool, you can even transform. Luffy saw Chopper transform in front of him, and his eyes turned into little stars. Thank you for taking care of my useless brother, Ace bowed. I didn't expect that such a reckless guy like Luffy would have such a polite brother. Sanji and Zoro looked at Ace, and then looked back at Luffy who was still running around. They didn't look like brothers. Mr. Levi, I have to go after Blackbeard, so I'll say goodbye. Ace bowed deeply to Levi and then strode towards his boat. Ace, you are no match for Blackbeard, Levi said to Ace. So what, my crew made a mistake, and I, the captain, have to take him back to make my father happy. Ace didn't even look back, he drove away in his boat. What a stubborn young man. Levi looked at Ace walking away and couldn't help but shake his head. Ace is a guy with a good talent of 15, but he doesn't know how to advance or retreat. Blackbeard is different from Whitebeard. He is extremely ruthless. I'm afraid Ace will be taught a lesson soon. Let's go to medical school, Levi said to Hancock and Hiyori. Blackbeard destroyed the hospital, but the medical school at the rear was not damaged at all. This is the core of the entire Drum Kingdom. Master Levi, welcome. A fat man stood up with a smile. He is the king of the Drum Kingdom. This guy is really lucky. If the development of the original plot is followed, I am afraid that this guy will have embarked on a journey of escape now, and he will not be as happy as he is now. After Wapple got a large amount of Baileys that Levi gave him every year, this guy didn't care about anything at all and just ate there every day. Moreover, he could still get 40% of the income generated by the medical school in the later period, so Levi had the entire magnetic Drum Kingdom in his hands. Although the Drum Kingdom is said to be a country, it is actually just a medium-sized island, incomparable to Wano Kuni. After the medical school was established, almost all residents joined the hospital. Because no one was cultivating the land, the hospital here became even bigger. And the Drum Kingdom has truly become a country where everyone is a doctor. Guy Celine, serve wine to Master Levi. Following Wapal's shout, a woman in a red dress walked in with graceful steps. This is a good wine I bought from New World at a high price. I heard that the wine on this island is specially for Whitebeard to drink. You should try it too, Wapple said with a smile. This hip flask looks to be made of gold, and has exquisite reliefs on it. It looks like it cost a lot of money to make. No, Wapple, I'm here to visit the medical school. Levi rejected him directly. Then let's go. Wapple threw the jug directly into his bloody mouth, and swallowed all the wine and the jug. Levi's eyelids jumped as he looked at it. The wine bottle looked much more expensive than the wine. He didn't expect him to swallow it like this. Balbo easily picked up the bag of gold bars on the table, then threw one in his mouth and started chewing it. Forgive me, Lord Levi, I just like to eat something chewy. Wapple smiled at Levi. Then they headed up the mountain from the underground elevator. Wow! What a beautiful sakura flower. Hiyori's eyes flashed with light. Sakura flower is the national flower of Wano Kuni, and sakura flower can only bloom in spring. Hiyori never expected that sakura flowers could be seen on the east island of the Magi Kingdom. Looking from the mountains and plains in the back mountains were all pink. The soft sakura flowers paired with the cold ice and snow were particularly eye-catching. Impact. This is Dr. Silk's masterpiece. Although these sakura flowers are not delicious, they will not hinder the country, so I kept them all. Wapple said to Levi and others. It's beautiful, isn't it? An old man came over with a smile. I used to suffer from a terminal illness, and I sought medical treatment all over the world, but the best miracle doctor at that time also told me that my illness was incurable, so I wandered around the world until one day, I came to a full world. This is the country of sakura flowers. It was spring, and I climbed a hillside. Under the hillside, sakura flowers bloomed all over the mountain. How touching it was. When I came out of that country, my terminal illness miraculously disappeared. From then on, I believe that sakura flower is a miracle flower. The Drum Kingdom is the home of medicine, so I have a wish. I want sakura flowers to bloom throughout the Drum Kingdom. My wish is about to come true. With Silurk's departure, Levi and others are still immersed in his story. This is the cuteness of this world. Although the world is full of pirates, there are always various kinds of people using implement your beliefs throughout your life. Welcome to the Core Research Institute of the Drum Kingdom. Following Wapal's loud shout, rows of huge lights lit up, and every detail of the entire venue was illuminated. This is a research institute built underground, and the entire underground of the Drum Kingdom has basically been hollowed out. This is the core base of our Drum Kingdom. As long as the Drum Kingdom is invaded by the enemy, there is an elevator above the office building where the doctors are located that can lead directly to here. It is directly connected to the sea. We can escape directly by boat. Yes, not a very genius idea, Wapple said to Levi. Levi didn't know about this plan either. There was no doubt that this plan was planned by Wapple, who was greedy for life and fearful of death. This guy didn't want to think about how to improve his own strength, but was thinking about how to escape. It was really weird. In this institute, Hancock and Hiyori were eye-opened by the crystallization of the medical skills of the Drum Kingdom. Within this institute, they were eye-opened by all kinds of bizarre research. They even saw someone studying how to simultaneously study of eating 2 devil fruits. I always thought that doctors only treat diseases and save people. I never thought that doctors are no worse than scientists in research, Hiyori said with emotion. Wanakuna's medical skills were still at a very primitive stage, and the medical skills of the Drum Kingdom gave him a great shock. She decided to let Wanakuna's doctors come here to study after she returned to China. Chapter 177. The terrifying 3-masted ship, please customize, please order in full. Really a magical place. Levi had already left the Drum Kingdom in his boat, and Hiyori couldn't help but look towards the Drum Kingdom. Where are we going next, Levi? Hancock asked Levi. I haven't seen Moria for a long time, let's go visit Moria. Since Moria failed to challenge Kaido in Wano-kuni, he has been hiding in the Devil's Delta. This is a place full of fog. Since Moria hid there, cases of missing ships occurred there from time to time. Because more than 100 ships disappear every year, people around here say that there are man-eating devils in this sea area. They specialize in tempting lost travelers, so gradually no ships pass by in this sea area. It's all foggy here, how can I find it? Hancock looked at the fog around him. The fog here was no more than 10 meters visible. Hancock didn't like this climate very much. As long as we have this thing, Perona will come to pick us up soon. Levi picked up something similar to a drift bottle from the sea. Don't open it, it will bring bad luck. Hancock hurriedly stopped Levi. There has always been a legend on Nine Snake Island, saying that catching this thing will bring bad luck to the whole ship. In this eerie and strange environment, Hancock couldn't help but think too much. But what she said was too late. The moment he opened it, a firework went up in the sky. Someone has set a trap again, Halo Lolo. A girl's silver bell-like laughter came from the darkness, and then everything became calm again. It seems like no one is coming. Hiyori looked at it for a long time. The entire sea surface was lifeless, and there was a faint sound of ethereal music accompanied by weird laughter, which made Hiyori feel chilly. He's already here. Levi's eyes looked straight to Hancock's left side. Absalom, if your claws extend even an inch forward, I will chop you open. Absalom is the 3rd batch of newly recruited subordinates of Moria. They're Paramecia transparent fruit ability users. This guy is extremely lustful, and he is also a marriage maniac. In order to find his favorite bride, he often goes to the ship to inspect the goods. This is a pervert no less than Sanji. How could he see me? Absalom looked at Levi's half-smiling expression, and his heart sank suddenly. He had made his body transparent, but he felt that Levi could still see him. Boom. With Levi's light punch, a transparent figure was smashed out. This guy was very weak, and Levi was afraid that he would accidentally beat this guy to death. Who are you? Absalom's eyes were full of horror. He is a reporter. Ever since he got the transparent fruit and was recruited by Moria, no one knew about his existence. What's more, he has been transformed beyond recognition by Dr. Hogback, and the man in front of him, the man actually recognized him at a glance, which was really incredible. I am Moria's friend. We will know if you lead us to Moria. As Levi and Absalom negotiate, a huge shadow appears in the mist. What a big ship! Hiyori exclaimed. This was the first time she saw a ship bigger than an island. This ship follows the horror style that Moria has always followed. When they entered through a door that looked like an open mouth, they had already arrived on the terrifying 3-masted ship. It's Boss Levi here. I have to tell the captain the news quickly. Perona's negative ghost had seen the trace of Levi, and she happily floated from her room towards Moria's room. Master Moria, don't sleep. Master Levi is here. Perona pinched Moria's nose, but Moria broke free of her hand. Is this Moria's territory? Hancock kept looking at this strange place. Although she had met Moria a few times in world government, they only sat together in meetings and they never communicated again. This was her first visit. Moria, I didn't expect Levi to have a relationship with Moria. Ho, ho. There was a strange sound, and some weird zombies slowly moved toward Levi and others with stiff steps. Although they walked very slowly, they were very numerous. Looking around, the entire gate was surrounded by zombies. Above the gate, there is a sign with an onion and a flame hanging, which indicates that this place is Moria's pirate ship. Moria, is this how you come to welcome an old friend? Levi shouted loudly, and at the same time his conqueror's haki began to release. Although these zombies were transformed from corpses, their bodies were still made of human souls. One zombie after another fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, all the zombies have been cleared by Levi. A powerful enemy is coming. The bubbles on Moria's nose exploded violently, and then he sat up, shocking Perona. Master Moria, Master Levi is here. Please change your clothes quickly. Looking at Moria's sleepy eyes, Perona couldn't help but get angry. Now Moria feels like a fat nerd, and he is also unshaven. What? Levi is here. How could he come to this remote place like me? Moria was anxiously looking around. He had been coming to this place for more than 10 years, and this was the first time he had guests on his ship. Perona, you go and help me entertain you first. I'll change my clothes and come back soon. Moria pushed her out of the room without any explanation, and then Perona lost her temper at the door. Master Levi, I am Hogbark, the doctor of the Moria pirates. Welcome 3 of you to visit the Moria pirates. A fat man came forward with a smile. This fat man's figure was extremely round and looked like a large potato. Master Levi, Hogbark is known as a genius surgeon. Perona added at the side. She was floating in the air at the moment. After receiving Moria's order, she went to find Levi and the others, and the important task of reception was left to her. It's on Cuban's body. Where is Absalom? Perona asked curiously. Absalom is a pervert, and now that Levi's 2 wives are nearby, he is not here, which is really beyond her expectation. Chapter 178. Swordsman Ryoma, please customize, please order in full. Now for a while, the pirates triggered the trap, and Absalom went to investigate. Hogbark said with a smile. There must be beauties on that ship. Perona curled her lips disdainfully, she knew Absalom's temper very well. Master Levi, there are 2 beautiful ladies, please come here. Hogbark did not answer Perona's words, and then he welcomed Levi and others in. Long time no see, Levi. Moria greeted Levi enthusiastically. Moria didn't have many friends, and after challenging Kaido twice, all his brothers had already been lost. Today, he saw an old friend arrive, very happy too. Moria, get out of here. While Levi and Moria were chatting, Levi suddenly heard a familiar roar. It seems like someone is making trouble. I'll go out and take a look. Moria was startled for a moment, and then he and Levi laughed. I didn't expect Luffy to come here so quickly. Levi, Hancock and others looked at each other. They were all surprised. They didn't expect that they arrived at this place so quickly. I didn't expect that Nico Robin also came to the Straw Hats boat. Levi immediately laughed. He received a call from Enel some time ago, saying that a group of pirates broke in on Sky Island. Because of Nami, Enel beat up everyone except Nami and Robin, Emil. In the end, the Straw Hat crew fled Sky Island in a hurry. Then bring this woman over to me. Following Levi's order, Nico Robin came to Levi in less than a moment. Now Perona had taken Hancock and Hiyori to visit the 3-masted ship, and now only Levi and her were left here. I didn't expect to see Mr. Levi here. You really have great hands and eyes. Robin is worthy of being a person who has experienced strong winds and waves. She was not surprised at all when she saw Levi. Isn't it surprising? Moria is my friend, but the Sky Island you went to some time ago is really my territory. Levi smiled at Robin. Robin immediately heard Enel's terrifying strength. Surrounded by endless thunder, he easily tortured everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates. Song Yushe and Nami. Hair without damage. Robin originally thought that Enel was gentlemanly, but now it seems that this is not the case at all, because that terrifying strong man is a subordinate of the man in front of him. A group of East Blue pirates came outside. I have already taken care of the leader of the Straw Hat Boy. The rest of their subordinates fled in all directions. Moria walked in with a strange laugh. Isn't this beautiful lady from the pirate group just now? Is he a friend of Mr. Levi? Moria's eyes were still surprised. He didn't expect Levi to be able to talk to this group of weak pirates. Contact us. It's just acquaintance. Since they dare to break into your territory, you can do whatever you want and don't worry about me. Levi smiled at Moria and said, in that case, then I know. Moria walked into the hall carrying a struggling black figure. Did Zoro fight against Ryoma so soon? Levi was startled. This plot seemed a bit fast. A samurai wearing Wanakuna's tattered kimono was fighting fiercely with Zoro. Although Zoro had already used 3 swords, he was still defeated by the samurai in front of him. Although this samurai had been dead for a long time, his instincts were too strong. Terrible. There is a very exciting battle outside. Do you want to go and see it? Levi said to Hancock and Hiyori. What's there to see in this place? I want to stay here. Hancock could not give Levi any face. I would like to see the battle you mentioned. As the sun and smoke flowed, she felt that Levi would not have the wrong target. Then let's go. After Levi finished speaking, he picked up Hiyori amidst her exclamations. That one seems to be our Wanakuna's national treasure, the black sword Shisui of the 21 Great Knife. When Hiyori saw the figure fighting Zoro, her eyes were fixed on Ryoma's sword. She would never mistake this pattern. This is Wanakuna's national treasure. More than 10 years ago, the tomb of Wanakuna's dragon-slaying warrior Ryoma was robbed. Ryoma's body and the black sword buried with him in the tomb were missing. Unexpectedly, they appeared here. Since the sword in front of me is Chusui, then the samurai in front of me. Hiyori's eyes were fixed on Ryoma's body. You guessed it right, this is the body of the dragon-slaying warrior Ryoma. Moria is a shadow fruit user. He can put other people's shadows into the body of the deceased and activate part of the power of the deceased. You see, this is the case with Ryoma. Ryoma was Wanakuna's #1 swordsman back then. Under his leadership, Wanakuna's warriors defeated the world government, so much so that they have not yet conquered Wano-kuni. Although Ryoma is only using Brook's shadow now, and he has only awakened part of his origin, his current strength is not something that Zoro can compete with now. Zoro received Levi's guidance when he was young. His strength was much stronger than in the original work, and he practiced hard every day and never relaxed for a day. After his disastrous defeat at the hands of Hawkeye, he practiced even harder, but his current strength has always been suppressed by Ryoma, and scars continue to appear on his body. Even so, Zoro's speed of swinging the sword was not affected at all. Both of them were powerful swordsmen, and the strong wind generated by their swings of the sword split the surrounding stone walls. Young man, I admire your willpower, but your skills are nothing compared to mine. I am honored to be able to fight against an opponent like you when I am recovering, so I can decide the outcome with one strike. Ryoma stopped attacking, and then the black sword in his hand was pointed at Zoro. Now Zoro only has 2 swords left, except for Wado Ichimonji, who is also a great sword 21, and the 3rd generation Kitetsu. The knife had been turned into pieces in the fierce confrontation just now. The nose sings Sandin, the arrow tail cuts. One sword style, flying dragon. The two of them flashed past the pointed roof, and then Zoro's divine body fell to the ground, and green flames began to burn on Ryoma's body. Chapter 179 Luffy fights Moria. Please customize, please order in full. What an amazing man. I owe my Chusui to you. I believe you will not humiliate Chusui. Ryoma handed the black sword Chusui to Zoro, and then his whole body turned into fly ash and disappeared. I won. I finally won. Ryoma is the strongest swordsman Zoro has ever encountered besides Hawkeye, and Ryoma's body is the shadow of Brook. Brook is also surprised that his sword skills are so powerful. He has already seen the direction of his next practice, even though he is over 90 years old. It's really amazing, Zoro. Levi praised him and said that although Zoro's current strength is not high, he has an almost pious love for swordsmanship, and he also has a will of steel. Now Zoro is happy to be called a swordsman. Finally we didn't lose. Zoro laughed. In the last duel with Hawkeye, he lost so miserably that he couldn't hold his head up in front of Levi. Now he finally won. I have to say that this was an extremely hardy battle. Although he almost died in this battle, his gains were really huge. Zoro, you are so powerful. No, I should say super. Frankie and Brook ran over and looked at the disappearing dragon horse. Frankie did one of his signature moves. My shadow is back. I finally lost my true self again. After 5 years, my shadow is finally back. Brook watched his shadow beating in place. No one knows his joy. This is the feeling of freedom. You're still so energetic, Frankie, Levi said to Frankie. At this time, Frankie felt a little embarrassed. He scratched his head and said with a smile, "You are really honored, Mr. Levi." Frankie actually knows Mr. Levi, and Mr. Chen Wei really has a lot of friends, Zoro thought to himself. Sao Mal boy, I'm going to kill you. A loud shout came from a distance. What is this? It's so big. Brook looked at the body in the distance that was several times larger than the giants in shock. He didn't expect that there were such huge humans in this world. That's Oz the demon. He is the demon berserker. His height is several times larger than ordinary people. He lived about 500 years ago. At that time, he had a hobby, that is, he liked to transport his favorite islands away. So he also has the title of Lucky Country Oz. Levi said to the boys in front of him. Oz, isn't that a legend? Frankie was startled. He heard his master Tom tell this story when he was a child, but he didn't expect that it was real history, and he also met the protagonist of the story. Now Luffy and this huge creature are wreaking havoc on the entire square, and all the buildings are constantly collapsing, and the momentum is extremely shocking. Luffy is so strong now, and he looks a little abnormal, Frankie said, touching his chin. Now Luffy's whole body has turned blue, and his strength is much stronger than before. That's it, Straw Hat Boy. Defeat Moria in one go. Seeing Luffy suppressing Oz, the pirates of the Tumbling Pirates who were hiding in the dark came out to cheer him on. Now Luffy's body has been stuffed with the shadows of 100 people, and the effect is really obvious. Luffy, who was originally played wantonly by Moria, now has the capital to compete with Moria. Oz is the trump card in my hand. He is my most outstanding work. How could he be defeated by you so easily? Moria laughed strangely. Rubber gun. Then a scene that shocked everyone appeared. Oz actually used Luffy's signature kung fu, which was the move used by Moria to control Luffy's shadow. The two fought together again. After all, Oz was not as good as Luffy. He gradually couldn't hold on anymore, but Luffy's fists were still dancing wildly. Although Luffy's size was nearly 100 times different from Oz, he still suppressed him. Oz fights. Boom. Oz's huge body fell to the ground, crushing countless forests, countless zombie warriors were crushed, and Moria's years of hard work were destroyed. Although Oz fell, Luffy did not relax at all. His fists fell on Oz like raindrops, and Oz's body continued to break. Please give me flowers, my Oz. Moria's heart was bleeding. This was his 900th work. It was also his most outstanding work, and now it was destroyed by Luffy. I won't let you go, Straw Hat. Moria's body appeared in front of Oz. I'm going to kill all of you. I'm afraid I'll turn you all into zombies. You all, please become my strength. Moria grabbed his big hand back, and a handful of shadows appeared in his hand. Lord Moria, please spare my life. All the minions' shadows howled. Although they had seen Moria cutting other people's shadows, they panicked when it was their turn. Looking at the group of weak subordinates in front of him, he thought of his first batch of subordinates. They were all good brothers who had the same aspirations as him. They all voluntarily allowed Moria to use their shadows. Seeing the ugly behavior of his subordinates in front of him, Moria sneered, and then he took out the scissors and cut off the shadows of his subordinates without hesitation. Then he swallowed all the shadows into his mouth. Let you see how powerful I am, Straw Hat, Moria laughed, and after he swallowed so many shadows, his body swelled up like a balloon. After that, the enlarged Moria started fighting with Luffy again. Every time Moria swung the scissors, he would leave a huge ravine on his ground. Although Moria's attack was powerful, his speed was too slow and he never hit Luffy. It's so slippery, Moria panted and looked at Luffy. He hadn't practiced for a long time. Today's battle has far exceeded his amount of exercise, and he couldn't hold on any longer. Seeing Moria's fatigue, Luffy keenly felt that this was an opportunity. He rushed in front of Moria, and then he punched Moria hard. Moria received this heavy blow, and he opened his mouth to howl, but when he opened his mouth, several shadows spilled out of his mouth, and he hurriedly stuffed the spoon back. Chapter 180. Perona tortures the entire Straw Hat team. Please customize, please order in full. Moria, you borrowed too many other people's powers. These are all external forces, so you can't control them well at all. Luffy shouted at Moria while shaking his fist. As Luffy punched down, shadows continued to spill out of Moria's mouth. This punch is for Nami. This punch is for Zoro. This punch is for all the people whose shadows you took away. As Luffy's last punch fell, Moria spit out the last shadow, and then he fell into dizziness. I didn't expect that after I was defeated by Kaido, I was defeated by a newcomer who just came out of the sea today. How ironic. This was Bolia's last thought before taking the stage. Captain. Absalom was shocked. He originally wanted to stealth and attack Luffy, but when he saw this, 493, scene, he became a little scared. Master Moria, are you okay? A cute girl wearing a crown, pink twin tails, and a black gothic skirt appeared silently next to Moria. She holds a burgundy umbrella in her hand, and the burgundy bat tattoo on her left arm shows her identity. She is a member of the Moria Pirates. Be careful, she is the commander of animal zombies and scary zombies. Lola walked up to Luffy and said warily. Lola, it's great that you're okay. Nami saw Lola recovered, and she screamed in surprise. With the defeat of Moria, all those who lost their shadows have returned to normal, and now the Straw Hat crew has surrounded Perona. Wow, she is a lovely lady. Sanji's eyes turned into red stars, and he kept twisting around on the ground. Your captain has failed. You'd better surrender. I won't hurt you. Sanji lit a cigarette and said to Perona. Hey, Perona, I'll cover you. You can quickly escape with the captain. Absalom revealed his figure next to Perona, and at the same time, the hand cannon in his hand was aimed at Luffy and others. Although he was scared now, he looked at Moria fell to the ground, but he still couldn't bear to run away alone. It's that transparent person, and you're not dead yet? Sanji looked at him in surprise. Absalom, just keep an eye on Captain Moria. I can take care of them all by myself. Perona lowered her head and couldn't see her expression clearly. Since you insist on fighting, I'll beat you away. Luffy's arms circled towards Perona. The ghost of negativity. A white transparent ghost appeared next to Perona, and then it floated towards Luffy. Are you also demon fruit power? In that case, I won't be polite. Luffy's fist hit the ghost. What? When Luffy's fist hit the ghost passed directly through his body, and then the ghost came out of Luffy's back. If there is a change in the next life, I hope to become a shell. I am so bad, I really want to find a crack in the ground and crawl into it. The moment the ghost passed through Luffy, Luffy fell to the ground. He couldn't help squirming on the ground, and he uttered unexplained words from time to time. Damn it, you woman, what did you do to Luffy? I'm going to chop you away. Zoro slashed at Perona with a knife. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been born. Zoro also knelt before Perona's negative ghost. How is this possible? Usopp and others were completely shocked. Originally, after they defeated Moria, the entire situation had been decided. After all, in a pirate group, the captain is the strongest one. This is common sense. But before the Moria pirates, this theorem seemed to be broken. The woman in front of me was much stronger than Moria. Everyone come together. With Frankie's loud shout, they rushed towards Perona together. As they rushed up, the white ghost beside Perona began to split, and then everyone was hit by the negative ghost. It's not possible at all. I'm really not good this week. I can't do anything. I no longer have the confidence to live. I can hear the boos from all over the world. Frankie and others were all hit by negative ghosts in this wave, and they were all defeated. It's over, I'm done. Usopp tore his clothes in pain. After waiting for a moment, he said in shock, strange, why am I okay? Because you are more negative than the ghost of negativity. I really didn't expect that there are people as depressed as you in this world. This was also the first time Perona saw someone who was more negative than the ghost of negativity. She couldn't help but look at it more. This one has a long nose. I'm actually fine. Your abilities are of no use to me. Why don't you surrender quickly? Usopp put his hands on his hips and laughed. Is it true that we rely on Luffy in good times, Zoro in bad times, and Usopp in desperate times? Levi looked very strange. Perona has been practicing with him for so long, and now even if she doesn't use Devil Fruit's ability, Straw Hat Crew should still be there. If she is not her opponent, Usopp should not be able to make a comeback this time. Then try my trick again, Ghost Bomb. As Perona finished speaking, her ghost once again surrounded Usopp. Boom! Those ghosts exploded when they approached Usopp. Usopp's hair turned into an afro, and his whole body was charred and fell to the ground. This time he did not come back. Perona is so strong. Absalom was dumbfounded as he watched Perona easily get rid of the Straw Hat crew. In his eyes, Perona was a 5.8 unruly and willful child, but he didn't expect that she was even more powerful than Moria. Master Levi, they are all my partners, please let them go. Nami begged Levi. She knew that as long as Levi spoke, the current crisis would be solved. Nami's wish was to travel around the world, and then she drew all the sea charts around the world. She met Luffy and the others in East Blue, and after experiencing a series of adventures with them, she boarded Luffy's ship and became his navigator. Even her orange trees in the village were transplanted to the ship. Don't worry, they will be fine, someone will come to save them. Levi smiled at Nami. Luffy is an officer of the second generation. His grandfather is the marine hero Garp, and his father is the leader of the Revolutionary Army. How could Luffy end up here? Chapter 181 Shichibukai Bear, please customize, please order in full. I see, have you discovered me? It's Levi. A gentle male voice appeared behind Nami. Aren't you that Shichibukai Bartholomew Kuma? Robin was shocked. Two Shichibukai actually appeared on an island. This is really an incredible thing. He is, Tyrant Bear. Lola and the others recognized the bear, and they all screamed in surprise. I'm going to kill you all. The bear looked at it, and then he began to take off his gloves. The bear's figure suddenly disappeared from the place, and then where his palm touched, Lola and the others had disappeared. What a terrifying strength. Does he also have demon fruit power? Everyone he meets disappears. Nami was also shocked. Okay, so strong. Perona also stopped smiling. She knew that the man in front of her was much stronger than Moria, and it was definitely not a good thing for him to appear on this island now. Another Shichibukai. Luffy and others looked at the bear warily. They had been released from Perona's control, but they all looked at the bear warily. 15 after all, the name of a person, the shadow of a tree, and the sea of martial arts are much more threatening than Perona. Leave him to me to deal with, Zoro pouted, and then he walked towards the bear with his knife. Although he was seriously injured now, after defeating Ryoma, his sword power was at an unprecedented peak. Don't say that the person in front of him is a bear. Even if the world's greatest swordsman, Hawkeye, stands in front of him, he would dare to chop it down. Zoro jumped up high, slashed hard at the bear with the Wado Ichimonji and Shisui in his hands, but the bear just stretched his palm in front of Zoro. Zoro felt that there was a layer of soft flesh in the bear's palm, and his sword could not cut through it. After that, Zoro looked at the strong man in front of him solemnly. I am a Paramisha meatball fruit capable person. I deflect all attacks. The bear's hands spread out and they looked at each other. Straw Hat Crew, you made a scene in Eni's lobby. It's really a heinous crime. Now I'm going to impose the death penalty on you, starting with you. The bear looked at Zoro. Damn it, my attacks can't hurt him at all. Looking at the bear's oppressive breath, a trace of cold sweat ran down Zoro's forehead. 3 sword style, 108 troubles wind. Zoro put on his turban and used his most powerful move on the bear. He didn't believe that this move couldn't break his defense. You're too slow, Zoro. The moment Zoro swung the knife, the bear's figure appeared behind him, and then the bear's palm pressed against Zoro's body. Boom! As the bear's palm fell to the ground, Zoro's figure had disappeared. Zoro. Luffy let out a heart-rending roar, then he jumped up from the ground and attacked the bear. Luffy, if you want to travel, where would you like to go? The bear asked Luffy. I want you dead, Luffy shouted loudly, and then he rushed towards the bear again. It's really troublesome. The bear's body suddenly teleported behind Luffy, and with a wave of his palm, Luffy disappeared. After that, Frankie, Brook, Usopp and others were all shot away by bears, and only one Nami was left in the Straw Hat Crew. You should go with them too. In Nami's desperate eyes, the bear's fleshy paw rushed towards Nami. That's it, bear. Levi's 7-star sword was unsheathed fiercely, and then a green slash cut the bear's bubble in half. As expected of Levi, you can actually break open my meatballs. The bear's tone was still indifferent, as if he was a robot. Because of Levi's obstruction, the entire Straw Hat Pirates, except Nami, were all shot away. Where did Moria go? When the bear turned his head, he found that Moria had disappeared silently, but he kept paying attention to his surroundings and no one left at all. Is it the transparent fruit user? Shang found that even Absalom had disappeared. He immediately understood that it was the transparent person who rescued Moria. Don't even think about catching Captain Moria, just a little bit. Perona makes faces at the bear, and her tongue keeps twitching there. If you still want to do harm to Lord Moria, give me a negative ghost. As Perona waved her hand, the ghosts behind her flew towards the bear like raindrops. When the bear appeared, she knew he had bad intentions, so she decisively asked Absalom to retreat with Moria. Although Perona's ability is buggy, it's useless if she can't touch the bear. The bear's meatball fruit deflected all of Perona's attacks. Then he came behind Perona and pressed down hard on Perona with his big hand. I am a user with Paramisha Ghost Fruit ability. I have developed my fruit to the point where I become illusory. If you can't hit me, it's useless. Perona came out from the bear's palm, then all the ghosts gathered in front of her. Extra large ghost, kamikaze bomb. As Perona's silver bell-like laughter sounded 027, a round and huge spiritual body appeared in front of the bear, and then the spiritual body exploded in front of the bear. You are stronger than your captain. It's incredible that your devil fruit can be developed to such an extent, Shang praised Perona. Then an exaggerated scene appeared. The bear's palm stretched forward, and a transparent ball wrapped the mango bomb in front of him. As the bomb exploded, the size of the ball suddenly expanded nearly 100 times like a blown balloon. As the bear's palm retracted, only Ba Xian was compressed by the exploding ball. The red ball was suspended next to the bear, and Perona felt an aura of destruction from it. It's too exaggerated, it actually compressed my kamikaze bomb. Perona never expected that the bear could do such an operation. Then the bear's hands spread wide, and he hugged Perona fiercely in front of him. No, Perona can't handle this move. The 7-star sword in Levi's hand was about to slash down on the bear. The bear seemed to have already expected it, and the red ball that had just been compressed was already flying towards Hiyori. Levi could only fly the red ball first. Levi then flew the small ball. The ball flew into the sky. After a while, the ball exploded violently. Chapter 182 The Traces of Blackbeard. Please customize, please order in full. Bear, what do you mean? Levi's eyes narrowed slightly. It seemed that the bear had a plan, so he didn't detonate the ball. This is Shang showing his attitude. He has no intention of being an enemy of Levi. He is just afraid that Levi will kill Luffy and others. After all, not many people know that Luffy is the son of the dragon. Where did you take Perona? Levi could feel that Luffy and the others were all thrown onto their pirate ship by him, and only Perona was missing. Don't worry, it's a safe and suitable place for her. My business is done, let's meet again if we have the chance. After the bear finished speaking, it turned into an afterimage and disappeared. This is the secret of his use of the meatball fruit to bounce away from the air and fly at the speed of light. Nami, go find your friends, they are on your ship, it's time for us to leave now. Levi glanced at the messy surroundings. Absalom had already escaped with Moria and Hogbark, and now there was no one else on the island except these sidekicks. Let's go too. Hancock jumped from the roof. When Levi was fighting the bear, she had blocked the bear's escape route. Now that the bear had left here, there was no need for her to be on the roof. Another beautiful day. Levi stretched. The early morning sun pierced the clouds, making people feel warm all over. Now Hancock and Hiyori are still sleeping soundly. Yesterday's battle lasted too long. For Hancock and Hiyori, beautiful women naturally need to get enough beauty sleep. Brumuru, Burabru. Levi took out the phone from his pocket, and it turned out that the call was from Yishao. Mr. Levi, Blackbeard appeared on the island below Guy Island and massacred the island. Do you want to take down Blackbeard? Yishao asked Levi for instructions. After Yishao traveled to Wanokuni, he found that Wanokuni was the pure land he was looking for. After that, he decided that Levi was the ray of sunshine that broke through the darkness, so he followed Levi. Guard Sky Island for Levi. At this moment, as Levi opened the image bug, the island appeared in front of Levi's eyes. Although Blackbeard was very strong, he still couldn't see enough of Blackbeard's smile. He didn't even notice that the smile was so close to him. The Straw Hat Kid did another amazing thing after causing trouble in Ini's lobby. He actually defeated Moria, one of the Shichibukai. Now the government has cancelled the title of Moria Shichibukai. This is the second one after Crocodile. The Shichibukai was cancelled. Blackbeard sat on a wine barrel and laughed. Now the entire island's residents have fled, and they are sitting on a mountain of supplies to revel. This is our chance. Burgess walked over with a large bag of supplies, and then he laughed. After he was defeated by Levi, due to the negligence of the Wapple guards, this guy was allowed to leave the Drum Kingdom. He ran away. Although he ran away, Poison Q was left there forever. Do you want to keep them all, Mr. Levi? Yishao asked. I've been looking for you for a long time, Teach. When Blackbeard was about to wait for his pirate ship, a familiar voice sounded. It turns out to be Captain Ace. It's been a long time. Blackbeard turned around and laughed. Under the sun, Ace squatted on the rows of rooftops. His whole body was shrouded in the sun, and he looked hazy and beautiful. You are the guy who killed your comrades. You have no right to call me captain. You have been expelled from the Whitebeard Pirates. If you kill members of our Whitebeard Pirates, I will take you back to make my father happy. Upon hearing Blackbeard's words, Ace's expression suddenly changed, and he yelled at Blackbeard. I didn't expect that you would recruit so many people in such a short period of time. Ace looked at Blackbeard's men, and a sneer suddenly appeared on his face. Of course it can't be compared to the famous Whitebeard Pirates. The captains of the Whitebeard Pirates are all powerful people, but I believe that it won't be long before we seize Whitebeard's territory in the New World. Lafitte said to him, neither humble nor overbearing, said Ace. You are really unabashedly ambitious, Teach. You have been lurking in the Whitebeard Pirates for so many years. Don't you know my father's strength? It's really funny that you want to seize my father's territory. Ace's face was full of sarcasm. It seems that after Blackbeard defected, he inflated himself. Ace, you have no idea what power I have. After decades of lurking, I finally got it. You will soon know why I have such confidence. Blackbeard laughed again. After more than 20 years of hiding, he was almost desperate. Just when he was feeling down and out, the thing he had longed for appeared in front of him. No one could understand that feeling. Is this the reason why you killed Thatch? Ace said through gritted teeth. Thatch was his best friend in the Whitebeard pirates, and he didn't expect that he would die at the hands of his own men. Ace, I'll give you another chance. Do you want to become my subordinate? Blackbeard asked Ace. In Blackbeard's eyes, Ace is a very strong guy. He is qualified to be his subordinate. In just 3 years, he went from being an unknown person in East Blue to becoming a pirate supernova. He also fought with Jinbei, one of the Shichibukai, for 5 days and 5 nights with no outcome. This battle was also called the most exciting after the battle between Levi and Big Mom. Battle. Even Blackbeard, who is an enemy of Ace, appreciates Ace's potential. Ace is qualified to be his companion. Dad is the man most qualified to become the Pirate King after Roger, the Pirate King. I will help him ascend to the throne of the Pirate King. As for you? Ace glanced at him and said with disdain. A man who kills his companions. What qualifications do you have to be my partner? Originally, I was planning to capture Straw Hat Luffy as a gift to the world government, but when you came, I changed my mind. A Whitebeard captain seems to have more weight than the Straw Hat pirates. Blackbeard opened his arms and laughed, his ambition undisguised at all. Boom. After he finished speaking, he quickly pulled out the pistol from his waist and pulled the trigger on Ace. Flames spurted out from the dark muzzle, and a black bullet passed through Ace's body, leaving a hole. Chapter 183 Ace vs. Blackbeard. Ace lowered his head and looked at the hole in his body. Under Ace's gaze, flames began to pour out around him, and then his wounds disappeared. Ace is a Logia Mera Mera fruit user, and when Blackbeard pointed his gun at him by that time, his body had already become elemental, and his blow was naturally unharmed to Ace. It's really your style, always shooting behind the scenes. Ace looked at the healed wound and smiled at Blackbeard. Obviously, he was not surprised at all by Blackbeard's sneak attack. After that, Ace's whole body was filled with flames. He raised his hands, and the fingers of his hands were like pistols. Then he whispered, "Musket." Ace's fingertips shot out a stream of flames, and the flames shot towards Blackbeard like bullets. The area where the flames hit Blackbeard sprouted black Madara, and Ace's attacks were all swallowed up by Blackbeard. Is this his devil fruit ability? Ace stared closely at the light Madara that appeared above Blackbeard's body. It looked as if Ace's flames were swallowed up by him. Ace, please give me some advice. Burgess laughed and uprooted a house, and then used his amazing 300-degree arm strength to throw it at Ace. Like Josie, he is also a man with amazing arm strength. Ace thought as he looked at the house thrown towards him. Looking at the house flying over, Ace smiled slightly, and then the flame in his hand began to burn, and then turned into a pillar of fire rising into the sky. Fire ring fire pillar. The pillar of fire directly hit the house. The moment Burgess' house was thrown towards it, it was blown to pieces by Ace's pillar of fire, and the wooden boards in the sky were turned into flying ash. Then Ace's figure suddenly appeared in front of Burgess. Ace clenched his right hand into a fist, and his whole body was covered with flames. His speed was so fast that before Burgess could react, he saw Ace as the fist continued to enlarge in front of his eyes. Boom! With a loud noise, the moment Ace's fist hit Burgess' abdomen, he turned into an afterimage and hit the houses in the distance. Countless houses were smashed into pieces. Burgess originally had a sea stone gauntlet. Under normal circumstances, he would not be so vulnerable, BFDH. His gauntlet was destroyed by Levi in the Drum Kingdom. Facing Ace's attack, he had no good restraints at all. He was severely injured as soon as they met. So strong, he actually defeated Burgess with one move. Lafitte was originally preparing to attack with his cane, but after seeing Ace defeat Burgess with one blow, they realized the gap between them, so he wisely stood behind Blackbeard, and they started to confront each other again. Fire punch. Ace let out a loud roar, and then an astonishing scene occurred. A large ball of flames rushed towards them, covering the sky and the earth, and there were flames everywhere as far as they could see. Nearly 100 meters of flames rushed towards Blackbeard in the form of a giant fist. This was an arm made entirely of flames and much larger than the giant's arm, destroying all obstacles and smashing towards Blackbeard. Boom! With an earth-shattering loud noise, rows of houses were instantly turned into pieces in the flames, and the entire street was turned into ruins in an instant. At the end of the street, Blackbeard and others all fell to the ground. What a powerful force this is. The new generation today is amazing. Yishao was shocked. Ace is a pirate who has become famous in the past 3 or 4 years. This was the first time Yishao saw him take action, and even he was shocked. Oh, it hurts me so much. Blackbeard fell to the ground and kept rolling, and then a shocking scene appeared. Blackbeard's body emitted black smoke. Wherever the black smoke passed, Ace's flame was swallowed up by his black smoke. What devil fruit is this? It's such a terrifying ability. Yishao frowned. His eyes were blind, so he always used the observation hockey sensor. In his field of vision, he could see the black smoke rising. In an instant, Ace's flames had been swallowed up, and black holes seemed to appear on Blackbeard's body, which even he couldn't see through. Hufu! Blackbeard gasped. Although the flames had disappeared, the pain from the quilt on his body still made his body feel hot. The raging flames spread around, and in the blink of an eye, all the buildings were burned by the flames. Ace's body passed through the burning flames, looking like a master of flames. Wherever he passed, all the flames they all surrendered to him. After that, the surrounding flames began to gather towards Ace, and they all headed towards Ace's body. As the flames poured in, Ace's body began to turn red, and his whole body was exuding a terrifying high temperature. The surrounding temperature was he instantly became more than 10 degrees taller. Ace stood on the ruins. He looked coldly at Blackbeard slowly getting up from the ground. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. No matter what, he would never let Blackbeard go. As expected of Captain Ace, I have already seen your Marimara fruit, let me show you the dark fruit I got. Black smoke began to emit from Blackbeard's body, and his whole body was covered in black smoke, looking like a demon king. Is this the devil fruit you wanted to get even if you killed Thatch? You killed Thatch just for a devil fruit? Looking at Blackbeard surrounded by black smoke, Ace became even more angry. Yes, this is the devil fruit I want. I have been lurking in the Whitebeard pirates for more than 20 years, and this is what I do for it. According to the rules on the ship, whoever finds the devil fruit belongs to whoever finds it, and I can only give it to him. Get rid of it, Blackbeard said to Ace. Today I will let you see the most powerful fruit in the world, dark fruit. It has one of the most heaven-defying abilities, which can make other demon fruit power abilities. A large cloud of black smoke came out of Blackbeard's hand, which covered half of his body. Then Blackbeard activated his devil fruit ability, and endless black smoke surged out behind him. Ace is the first Logia demon fruit power to succumb under my dark fruit. Blackbeard was laughing wildly, and his black smoke went towards Ace. Endless darkness spreads with Blackbeard as the center. In the blink of an eye, the ground of ordinary towns has been covered by Blackbeard's dark fruit ability. The entire ground is like a black hole, as if even light has been swallowed up. Chapter 184. Ace's defeat. Please customize, please order in full. What a terrifying ability. Yi Xiao sighed beside him. When Blackbeard's ability was used, he felt a sense of depression. This devil fruit was too powerful. As expected of Blackbeard, he has made such progress in such a short period of time. Levi was also watching this scene among the memory bugs. The current Blackbeard was 3 points stronger when he fought with River Levi. It had only been less than half a year, and he was worthy of being a candidate for the future 4 emperors. Ace, take a good look. Blackbeard let out a loud roar, opened his right hand, and an invisible black uzumaki rotated in the palm of his hand. Blackbeard's palm pressed down towards the ground shrouded in darkness. The secret path. The dark ground that was originally as calm as water suddenly began to emit black ripples. The ripples were like water, and the ripples continued to spread outward. Even Ace felt waves of suction. Ace looked at everything in front of him in shock. As the darkness fluctuated, the ground of the entire town gradually began to sink. It was as if the darkness transformed by Blackbeard was a bottomless abyss. The houses in the entire town were silent, swallowed without interest. The surroundings suddenly became dark. Not only the town, but also the light was swallowed by Blackbeard. The darkness transformed by Blackbeard was like a black hole, and even the light in front of him was swallowed by him. After the pointed roof of the tallest house sank into darkness, the entire earth became extremely flat, as if everything had been swallowed up. Now is the time to show off the power of dark fruit, Ace. A column of black smoke rose behind Blackbeard, and the ruins of the town fell towards Ace like raindrops. In just a short moment, the destructive power of dark fruit was fully demonstrated. At this moment, faint light groups appeared in the surrounding space. Blackbeard stared blankly at the firefly-like light groups in front of him. These light groups lit up the originally dark space, and the entire space was illuminated again, bright. It seems that your darkness can't swallow my fire, Blackbeard. Ace raised his hands, and he continued to release small balls of light in his palms. Firefly Fire Bodhidharma. Ace's hands slammed together, and small light groups floating around began to explode one after another. These light groups looked small, but when they exploded, they looked like cannonballs exploding. The roar sounded around Blackbeard. The raging flames even covered Blackbeard, and the terrifying high temperature instantly surrounded Blackbeard. Blackbeard felt like he had entered an iron-making furnace. It's burning me to death. Blackbeard's whole body was surrounded by flames, and then a burst of black smoke covered Blackbeard's body, and Ace's flames were extinguished. My dark fruit can swallow everything, whether it's bullets, knives or guns, my body can absorb it all, and the price I pay is only twice the pain in my body. After Blackbeard finished speaking, he raised his hand. Blackbeard's entire palm was wrapped in black smoke, and then his hand exuded a tyrannical aura. When Blackbeard's palm faced Ace, Ace felt a strong gravitational force pulling him closer to Blackbeard. Ace's body was out of control at all, and he was getting closer and closer to Blackbeard's body. After waiting for Ace's figure to appear in front of Blackbeard, Blackbeard laughed wildly and grabbed Ace's shoulder. Sacred Fire Shiranui. Ace let out a low growl, and then released the most powerful fire fist in his hand. He had a hunch in his heart that if Blackbeard's hand caught him, he would be in big trouble. The fire fist in Ace's hand hit Blackbeard hard. Blackbeard was unprepared and received the blow. Suddenly, his whole body was covered with fire. His body was knocked away, and Ace was briefly freed. Crisis. You are really difficult to deal with, Ace. Blackbeard got up from the ground again. Ace's punch was so heavy that he felt severe pain now. He originally thought that taking down Ace was easy, but he didn't expect that Ace's Mara fruit was also developed so powerfully. Now Blackbeard's face is full of solemnity. He is no longer as frivolous as before. He knows that if he does not treat this battle carefully, he will risk losing. He has already suffered a heavy defeat at the hands of Levi. He cannot if he fails again in the hands of a junior. How else will he rule the new world? Please give me flowers. Try my strongest move, destroy. Blackbeard laughed. All the darkness in his body surged out, and then he laughed maniacally and approached Ace. Great flame ring. Emperor Yan. Ace's expression changed drastically. He didn't dare to reserve his strength anymore and used his strongest attack directly on Blackbeard. A huge fireball like the sun appeared from Ace's hand, and with a roar, the fireball in his hand was thrown towards Blackbeard. It's useless, just be swallowed up by the darkness. The black smoke gathered in Blackbeard's hand, and then he, like Ace, hit Ace with the black smoke in his hand. As a result, such a magical scene appeared on Panama Island. The entire island was divided into two halves. One half was raging flames, usually deep darkness. As the two of you wrestled, the entire island also was blown to pieces. Zero, Captain Ace, your strength is nothing more than this. Blackbeard's figure appeared next to Ace, and Blackbeard's fist hit Ace's stomach hard. After receiving this punch, Ace felt as if his internal organs had been hit by sea canes. He spat out blood when he opened his mouth, and his whole body was severely injured. Blackbeard has been on Whitebeard's ship for more than 20 years. Although he is not an esper, his physical skills are extremely powerful, even far superior to some of the captains, otherwise he would not be able to leave scars on the red-haired eyes. Your physical skills are a bit weak, Captain Ace. As Blackbeard's palm grabbed Ace's wrist, Ace was shocked to find that his devil fruit ability seemed to have disappeared. A fierce physical battle began. With one hand held together, they started fighting at such a close distance. Damn it, I actually lost to Teach. Ace lay on the ground covered in scars. His body was covered with scars, and there were countless shocking blue and purple marks. Ace roared and wanted to continue fighting, but the scars on his body were so severe that he couldn't get up at all. As Lafitte put sea-stone handcuffs on his hands, everything became a foregone conclusion. Chapter 185. The Meeting of the Two Emperors. Please customize, please order in full. Burgess, you must take good care of Captain Ace. He is an important bargaining chip for us to become Shichibukai, thief ha ha ha. Blackbeard looked at Ace and laughed. Although he was seriously injured now, everything in front of him was worth it. Blackbeard's body is also scarred, but his physical skills are better than Ace's, and he can still move on his own. Captain, let me go to Marineford and leave it to me to become a Shichibukai. After Lafitte received Blackbeard's approval, a pair of wings appeared behind him and flew away. No one knows what huge waves the battle between Blackbeard and Ace on this unknown island will create in the future. New World, Moby Dick. A C-320. Thief ran in a panic and said, Dad, the red-hair is here. All the captains stood up reluctantly. Previously, the red-haired man had asked his newcomer to send a greeting card. The reason was that the newcomer was so stinky that he was frightened by Whitebeard's captains, and he became embarrassed. He ran away. I wonder if the red hair will regain his position this time. Gu la la la, red hair, is this the good wine you said? Whitebeard laughed, and everyone realized that red hair had dragged a huge wine gourd onto the deck of the Bobby Dick. Wherever the red hair passed, the members of the Whitebeard pirates kept falling down. They rolled their eyes and fell to the ground. Red hair, are you saying hello? Rihu's face darkened. He used Conqueror's hockey on Whitebeard's crew as soon as they boarded the ship. It seemed that the red hair was trying to regain the situation. After all, his envoy lost face on Whitebeard's ship last time. That's right, Shanks replied unhurriedly, and at the same time, he walked towards Whitebeard without slowing down. Whitebeard laughed wildly, then he took his naginata in his hand, and then slashed it hard at the red hair. The red-haired man let go of the rope in his hand, then unsheathed the griffin in his hand, and the weapons in their hands clashed. Now, except for the captains, all the members of the Whitebeard pirate group have been knocked unconscious by the red-haired Conqueror's hockey. Now Whitebeard and the red-haired Conqueror's hockey collided together, and even the captains felt huge pressure. The sky is split. I don't know which captain discovered it first. After that, all the captains looked towards the sky in shock. Above the Moby Dick, the clouds in the sky were neatly divided into two halves. To be precise, the entire sky they all seemed to have been split open. Redhead, do you want to fight? Team Captain Marco's body was covered with blue flames. It was obvious that he was about to take action. He attacked Whitebeard on Whitebeard's ship, which made him feel to the humiliation. Redhead, I didn't expect that after so many years, your strength has not deteriorated at all. Whitebeard put away his naginata and smiled at Redhead. Hey, Marco, do you want to come and join me? The red-haired man turned to Marco and said. Seeing the unattractive red hair, the captains who had already drawn their weapons were all speechless. The originally tense atmosphere was relieved by the red hair's words. Dad, us? Diamond Josie looked at his father, and they were waiting for Whitebeard's instructions. Everyone, please step aside. I want to have a good chat with the red-haired man. Whitebeard waved his hand, and all the captains put back their weapons. Marco took a deep look at Red Hair, and then he led the captains away from here. In a blink of an eye, only Red Hair and Whitebeard were left on the Moby Dick. Seeing that everyone had left, the red-haired man sat cross-legged in front of Whitebeard without hesitation. Then he poured himself a bowl of wine, and then threw the gourd to Whitebeard. Whitebeard picked up Whitebeard's wine bottle and took a sniff. West Blue's wine doesn't seem to be that good either. Shanks smiled and said, "You will know after you drink it. I have traveled all over the world and there is no better wine than West Blue." When Whitebeard heard this, he picked up the huge wine bowl and suddenly raised his head and took a big gulp. Whitebeard drank the wine in one breath, and then he slammed the wine bowl on the table. Rocks, Roger, Golden Lion, as these old people pass away one by one, there are not many people who understand this sea. 22 years have passed, no wonder. Shanks also put the wine bowl on the ground and sighed. Back then, I was an ordinary trainee pirate on Roger's ship, and now I have become the 4 emperors, which everyone on the sea hears about. Time flies so fast. Whitebeard looked down at him and said, "Roger and I have fought many times. I have a very deep memory of you and that red-nosed kid. I still remember that you were just 2 kids and you dared to take my head." Whitebeard fell into memories. "You're talking about Buggy, right? It was a really nostalgic day." Shanks raised his head, his eyes full of memories. "On the day Roger, the Pirate King, was executed, we were in East Blue Lobe. The town separated, and I invited him to board my ship, but he refused. We have never seen each other since." Whitebeard also sighed. "For me, these big events seem to have happened yesterday. After Roger's death, Golden Lion also planned a world-famous funeral in Marineford. After that, you and Levi became a new generation of pirates. New star, it's just that kid Levi doesn't seem to have any ambition to dominate the new world. Otherwise the current 0.3 of the sea would probably be the 5 emperors." Afterwards, Whitebeard glanced at the red-haired man's empty sleeves and said curiously, "What kind of existence can take away an arm of the 4 emperors? I'm very curious." Don't blame Whitebeard for being curious, he knows the red hair's strength. The red-haired man's strength was limited in the New World. It was unbelievable that he would lose an arm in the East Blue. It was as incredible as a giant dragon being bitten to death by an ant. As long as the red hair tells the name of the person who took his arm, I am afraid that his reputation will be famous throughout the sea the next day. Shanks glanced at his empty sleeves and said meaningfully, "I bet my arm on the new era." Shanks laughed. Luffy's figure reappeared in his mind. Chapter 186 Lafitte enters Marineford. Please customize, please order in full. Whitebeard heard the red hair's words and he laughed again. The red hair's courage has always been so amazing. If Whitebeard were asked to bet on the so-called new era with one arm, he would not do it. "I'm looking forward to what you call the new era." Whitebeard drank another bowl of wine at the redhead. "It's fascinating to think about the era when a 4 emperors was willing to risk an arm. Whitebeard, I have gone through many battles, and compared to the injuries on my arms, only this wound still hurts." Shanks pointed to the 3 scars on his cheek. He pointed to the scars on his face and said to Whitebeard, "My battle with the world's greatest swordsman, Hawkeye, was not as thrilling as that one. I still remember Blackbeard. His eyes are so cruel and heartless." When Whitebeard heard this, he was silent for a while and said, "I was also deceived by him. He has been hiding under my nose for 20 years, and even I didn't see through his disguise. Yes, Blackbeard is a true careerist. Based on his strength, he has already been the captain. However, he has never competed for the captain's position. He has been hiding under Whitebeard's banner for 20 years. This kind of character is really it's so scary." Shanks thought of Blackbeard's honest smile and felt his heart palpitate. This guy is really scary. 0. Now Blackbeard has got what he wants in the Whitebeard pirates, and he does not hesitate to violate the principles of the Whitebeard pirates to kill Saki. Now Hong has received information that Blackbeard has raised his own pirate flag, and he start recruiting your own partners. With Blackbeard's forbearance and strength, I'm afraid Blackbeard's reputation will soon be heard throughout the sea. The name of Teach's pirate group is now the Blackbeard Pirates. His ambition is obvious. He wants to take your place, Whitebeard." The red-haired glanced at Whitebeard, and then he drank from his wine bowl in one gulp. "What do you want to say? Whitebeard is worthy of being a weathered existence on the sea." He felt that there was something in the red hair's words. "Bring Ace back. If Blackbeard defeats Ace, I'm afraid Blackbeard will make a fuss about Ace." Shanks' face was full of solemnity. Blackbeard is an ambitious man. Only by cooperating with Marine can he realize his ambition as quickly as possible. But if Blackbeard wants to cooperate with Marine, then he has to give Marine a meeting gift of sufficient weight. If Ace is caught, things will be in trouble. "Are you kidding? Lousy is Whitebeard. How can I take it back if I release it?" Whitebeard threw his wine bowl to the ground. Whitebeard continued, "My pirate group has an iron rule, that is, you must never attack your companions on my ship. As long as you get on my ship, they are all my sons. Since Teach dares to kill my son, then he must pay the price. Then if they confront each other, this era will be uncontrollable." Shanks's face was full of gloom. He didn't expect Whitebeard to be so stubborn. He had already made the pros and cons clear to Whitebeard, but he didn't expect that Whitebeard still wouldn't change his mind. Even if Ace falls into Marine's hands, I will take him back because lousy is Whitebeard. Whitebeard laughed. What Whitebeard didn't know was that his casual prediction was about to come true. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Due to the failure of Shichibukai Crocodile and Gecko Moria, Sengoku has summoned Shichibukai for a meeting. They want to discuss a replacement. There are no famous big pirates on the sea now. The only one, Fire Fist Ace, refused the title of Shichibukai and joined Shichibukai, the Whitebeard Pirates. So, do you have any suitable candidates now? Sengoku asked the group of big pirates below. The Shichibukai have always been in a state of not listening to the announcements. Except for Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo, who has participated in every call, the other Shichibukai have never been able to come together at all times. Currently, there are only 3 Shichibukai present, Doflamingo, Bear, and Hawkeye. The Pirate Empress Hancock is currently on her honeymoon with Levi, and Sengoku has not considered summoning her at all. As long as Kuja doesn't cause trouble, Sengoku doesn't bother to pay attention to her. Jinbei of the Fishmen tribe is now very close to Whitebeard, because Whitebeard protects the Fishmen Island, and Marine's hand can't reach there, so they can only stay out of reach. 3 Admiral and Garp are away performing military duties, and now only Sengoku and Suru, Vice Admiral, are the top executives of Marine in Marineford. Now they are all looking at each other, looking like it has nothing to do with them, which gives Sengoku a headache. Everyone, since none of you have a good candidate, let me recommend someone. In the serious venue, a frivolous voice suddenly came. Everyone looked up and saw a man dressed in a gentleman's style appeared at the venue. How did you get in, Lafitte? Vice Admiral frowned slightly. The person who came was the famous West Blue Sheriff Lafitte. He was expelled for violent law enforcement. Lafitte's reward order was also passed by Vice Admiral Hand, so she recognized it at a glance. I am Lafitte, the navigator of the Blackbeard Pirates. It's an honor to meet you all. Being stared at by so many masters, Lafitte didn't show any stage fright at all. He bowed to Sengoku and others. My Captain Blackbeard is a very good candidate. Guard 327, how did he get in? Sengoku yelled angrily. This is a great shame and humiliation for Marine. This is Marine's headquarters. It doesn't matter if he is a strong man like Golden Lion and Whitebeard. Now he is being raped by someone like Lafitte. This is the first time that he has the strength to sneak into the headquarters. A group of guards rushed in. Lafitte smiled at the soldiers and said, now that the enemy has been captured, you all can get out. Then the pair of soldiers escorted a virtual humanoid and slowly walked out. Is this hypnosis? It's really interesting. Brother Ming burst out laughing. He was very happy to see Marine lose face. Marshal Sengoku, I haven't told you our bargaining chip yet. Isn't it too hasty to chase people away without listening to the bargaining chip? Lafitte still smiled. Tell me about your bargaining chip. I want to see what you can do to impress me, Sengoku said, looking at Lafitte in front of him. As long as our captain becomes Shichibukai, we will dedicate Ace to Marine, and this will be our meeting gift, Lafitte said. What, Ace? The Ace of Whitebeard's second team captain. Sengoku was completely shocked. Ace is Logia demon fruit power, and the average Vice Admiral is not his strength. Now he was defeated by Blackbeard. What's behind this? It is impossible for Sengoku not to think deeply. Chapter 187. Death of Celestial Dragons. Please customize, please order in full. As time went by, Luffy and others gradually approached the Sabaody archipelago. This island is a famous and prosperous island of the Grand Line because this island is the gathering place of the previous 7 routes. So all the pirates on this route have gathered here, and these pirates are called pirates of the same period, and now Levi's subordinates have arrived at the Sabaody archipelago. Boss Levi, we meet again. Luo smiled at Levi. If any other pirates saw the lineup at this table, they would be surprised. Several famous pirates were sitting together. From left to right are Luo, Kid, Kira, Hawkins and Capone Beeg. They are all candidates for this new generation of pirate stars, but now they are all gathered together because his boss, Levi, is summoning them. Yeah, I haven't seen Boss Levi for a long time. I didn't expect that there are so many strong men under the boss. Capone Beeg was also filled with emotion. He is worthy of being the leader of the gang, and he is very good at talking about the situation. Under his guidance, the atmosphere of the entire banquet became extremely harmonious. Who is the current supernova? Levi asked. During this time, he had been accompanying Hancock and Hiyori on their honeymoon. He didn't know the new information above the sea at all, nor did he know that because of his intervention, now has the supernova changed? According to my information, there are currently 11 pirates on the Sabaody archipelago with a bounty of over 100 million. Capone Beeg lit a cigarette. He is the largest number of pirates in this generation, and he is the leader of the West Blue Gang. He has always attached great importance to intelligence, so he sent people to collect intelligence as soon as he landed on the island. The number 1 person now is the Honorable Trafalgar Law, whose bounty is 800 million belly. Captain Eustace Kidd, with a bounty of 500 million Baileys. The Magician, His Excellency Basil Hawkins, has a bounty of 450 million belly. Gangster Capone Beeg, rewarded 400 million yuan. Monkey Rogue, born in Sky Island, has a bounty of 300 million belly. Straw Hat Luffy, from East Blue, has a bounty of 315 million belly. Cheeky kill the warrior Kira and get a bounty of 200 million belly. Dingy and Apu, born in the Grand Line, has a bounty of 198 million Baileys. Glutton, female, Jewelry Bony, born in South Blue, has a bounty of 140 million Belly. Pirate Hunter, Roranoa Zoro, East Blue was born. The bounty is 120 million Belly. Countless seas are entering the Grand Line from Upside Down Mountain. Only these few fleets can get here through many difficulties and obstacles. They are the best among the pirates of this generation and may lead the pirates of the next era. It will be born from here. The celestial dragons are still so domineering. Levi sighed as he looked out the window. At this moment, everyone looked through the windows and saw that the residents on the street were kneeling on both sides, while a celestial dragon wearing a bubble on his head was riding a slave, and he was walking down the street with a large number of guards behind him. Levi knows this fat guy. This guy seems to be named Charles Saint. At this moment, a team of doctors and nurses came forward carrying a seriously ill patient. Hey, when you see the arrival of the great celestial dragons, why don't you kneel down? St. Charles' eyes were full of arrogance. When the leading doctor saw celestial dragons in front of him, he hurriedly knelt down and explained to him. Levi didn't see clearly what he was explaining. He only saw celestial dragons take out a pistol from the waist of the bodyguard behind him, and then he said the gun killed the doctor. It's really unlucky that the blood of a pariah got on my shoes, St. Charles said angrily. When the doctor fell down just now, 10 drops of blood splashed on his shoes. The slave behind him scrambled over and wiped his shoes clean. This woman is my concubine. Charles Saint's eyes were staring straight at the nurse holding the sling bottle. The nurse's pink nurse uniform made her figure become more and more slender. At this moment, she was frightened by Charles Saint. She looked like a pitiful look. The bodyguards of celestial dragons rushed towards the nurse quickly. They had done this countless times and were naturally familiar with the situation. Lord Celestial Dragons, he is my fiancé. A man rushed out in a panic, and then he kept begging at the feet of Skyman. St. Charles frowned, and then he pointed his pistol at the man. After a gunshot, the man also fell into a pool of blood. The nurse's hand covered her mouth tightly, and her eyes stared closely at her fiancé. Just when the atmosphere solidified, a drunken swordsman staggered out of a small alley. Zoro is here too, and things are getting more and more interesting. Levi laughed. Zoro was not a man who gave in easily. Seeing that there were still people who dared to offend his majesty, Charles Saint Fen was almost furious. His eyes were fixed on Zoro, and the dark muzzle was gradually aimed at him. Bang back. With the sound of St. Charles' gunshot, Zoro's figure disappeared from the spot. He held the handle of the knife and swung it towards the celestial dragons, but at the critical moment he was knocked down by a man, who was also a supernova. Pawnee. When Zoro fell, Levi's fingertips moved slightly, and an invisible slash flew towards the celestial dragons. A blood flower appeared on the neck of St. Charles, and then he fell to the ground. The blood flowing from St. Charles' body dyed his lower body red. Only then did his good bodyguards react, their eyes full of fear. The noble Lord Celestial Dragons has been killed. As the bodyguards shouted, people in the whole street began to run around. They all knew what the death of Celestial Dragons meant, which meant that Saboti Archipelago was about to execute the Buster Call. Why did you kill him? You're in big trouble. Pony also became anxious. She knew that Zoro had just had murderous intentions. She rushed forward in a hurry, but she didn't expect that she was still a step too late. I didn't draw the knife. Zoro was also stunned. Although he was drunk just now, he knew that his sword was not unsheathed at all, but the celestial dragons in front of him were clearly wounded by the sword. Zoro is so lucky. They are the ones who assassinated Lord Celestial Dragons, kill them. The bodyguards pointed their guns at Zoro and Pony. Chapter 188 Frozen Sabayati Archipelago, please customize, please order in full. 108 Troubled Winds. Zoro let out a loud roar, and then he eliminated the bodyguards of Celestial Dragons in an instant. These bodyguards were okay against ordinary pirates, but they were not good enough to deal with pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. Hurry up and tell Luffy to escape. I'll evacuate first. I'm afraid the Buster Call is coming soon. After Bonnie finished speaking, he hurried away. Although she is said to be a rising pirate star, she does not have the strength to directly confront Admiral. Only a lunatic would think of fighting Marine. Now things get interesting. This Zoro is miserable. He didn't even notice that Capone Beige had dropped his cigarette. He didn't expect that his boss would kill the celestial dragon silently. It was really fierce. I didn't see the look of death on his face. Hawkins said lightly. And I just calculated that their probability of escape is actually 100%. At the same time, at the auction house, a conqueror's hockey rose into the sky, and everyone sensed the aura of Straw Hat Luffy. It seemed that the Straw Hat Boy was also causing trouble in the auction house. By the way, we need to inform Luffy immediately that they have escaped. Only then did Zoro react, so he hurriedly ran towards the front 813, but the place he ran in was completely opposite to the direction of Luffy and others, and Zoro was lost again. With the death of the Celestial Dragons, alarm bells sounded throughout Marineford, and countless marine troops began to gather. What happened? Marshal Sengoku. Akainu walked in. The Sky People were killed in Sabayati Archipelago. Sengoku said with a headache. What? These damn pirates, I'm afraid Sabayati Archipelago can't be saved. Akainu said bitterly. Sabayati Archipelago is the most prosperous island on the Great Walk, and is home to countless residents. Now that the celestial dragons are dead, the entire Sabayati Archipelago will turn into scorched earth. According to convention, once a celestial dragon dies, all the people in the area where he is located will be buried with him. This is a guarantee provided by the world government to ensure the authority of the celestial dragons, but now it gives Marine a headache. Now there are 11 supernovas with a bounty of over 100 million gathered on the Sabayati Archipelago, and because of the prosperous location, there are countless masters living in seclusion here, the most representative of whom is Pluton Rayleigh. Because these old guys no longer stir up trouble on the sea, and these guys are very strong, if Marine forcibly arrests them, it will cause terrible casualties to Marine, so Marine still lets them go. Now the existence of these old guys has laid hidden dangers for this battle. Who knows how many terrifying masters Sabayati Archipelago hides. This is a battle that is not inferior to the battle between Golden Lion and Marineford. Sengoku could already predict that this would be the Buster Call with the greatest resistance in Marine history. Assemble the troops. This time, send 100,000 troops. Let's ask Aokiji and Kizaru to perform the mission together. By the way, haven't the Vegapunk pacifists been successfully developed? Send as many as you can, and strive to control the sea on the Sabayati Archipelago. All thieves were wiped out in one fell swoop. Sengoku hammered the table hard. The current Marine had just made up for the losses in the Marineford battle, and he didn't know how much Marine would be lost in this battle. Akainu, you go first. There are other celestial dragons on the Sabayati Archipelago. We must ensure their safety. Now the CPO troops have been dispatched, and Aokiji is no longer guarding Mariejois. He has also set off. Following Sengoku's order, Akainu led the Marines toward the Sabayati Archipelago in a mighty manner, and Marine warships continued to join along the way, which made the entire Marine camp become even larger. I'm going to beat you all away. The door to the auction house was shattered, and a celestial dragon's wearing a bubble on its head was knocked down by Luffy. Now, BFDI, Luffy's anger has calmed down a little. He finally rescued his friend Kami. But how to open these shackles? Luffy looked a little worried at the collar on Kami's head. He heard the host say that this collar can only be removed with a special key. If it is removed by force, her head will be blown to pieces. Kami is just an ordinary person, and she does not have any armament haki. Let me do it. When Luffy had a headache, a man's voice came from next to him. It's you, Mr. Rayleigh, now Kami is saved. Xiaoba shouted happily. Xiaoba had seen Rayleigh take action, and he knew that Rayleigh was a master. Are you Uncle Rayleigh? Why are you here? Luffy tilted his head and looked at this miserable uncle. I lost a bet with someone in the casino. Now I want to sell myself to repay my bet. I didn't expect that I am old and beautiful, and no one wants me as an old man anymore. Rayleigh scratched his head and sighed. Rayleigh then pulled the collar off his neck, and the collar exploded in his hands, but Rayleigh's palms were unharmed. As expected of Mr. Rayleigh, he is so strong. Xiaoba sighed. Before anyone could react, Rayleigh had already pulled off the collar and threw it far away. His movements were very fast, and when the collar exploded, he had already thrown the collar far away. Sorry, Mr. Yishao. It seems that the gambling money I owe you will have to be paid back later. Rayleigh smiled at a blind man on crutches. It doesn't matter. I have confidence in Mr. Rayleigh's character. Now this island is about to be in trouble. Let's wait until this crisis is over. Yishao said with a smile. Isn't this Mr. Yishao? Nami exclaimed in surprise. She had seen Yishao when she was Rua's bridesmaid, and she knew that Yishao was also a strong man. Nami, is this your companion? You should run for your lives quickly. If you don't leave, it will be too late, Yishao said with a smile. Rayleigh's eyes flashed. He could feel that Yishao was a master, so he started betting against Yishao in the casino. The two started competing using observation haki. To Rayleigh's expectation, he actually lost to Yishao based on his knowledge and sex. He smiled, and then he started selling himself at the auction house. It's too late, you can't leave, Aokiji is here, Yishao said. As his words fell, a line of ice spread from the distance to the harbor from the distance of Sabayati Archipelago. In the blink of an eye, all the ships were frozen in the harbor by Aokiji. Chapter 189 Auction House. Aokiji is here, it seems no one can escape. Levi took a deep look at the frozen harbor, and then he walked towards the auction house. Subordinate Yoroj pays homage to Master Levi. A strong man wearing gray monk robes with small wings on his back bowed to Levi. Yoroj, one of the supernovas, do you know me? Levi glanced at the big man, and he was sure that he had never seen this guy before. The subordinate is the subordinate of Enel, the god of thunder. Yoroj, explained to Levi. Only then did Levi understand. After all, Yoroj was indeed his subordinate. His subordinates' subordinates, weren't they, his subordinates? So there was a scene like this in Sabayati Archipelago, where a large group of pirates headed towards the auction house. Hey, can I join you? As the crowd was walking, a man wearing a robe and a big braid said to them. Isn't this Captain Apu of the Radio Pirates? Kid said in a sinister tone. Kid had some friction with Apu in Saboti Archipelago, so he didn't have a good impression of Apu. Master Levi, I have been listening to your legend since I was a child. You're my idol. Apu came over without any shame. Okay, if that's the case, let's go together. I'm afraid this will be a fierce battle. Levi glanced at Apu. This guy was very discerning. He knew that he couldn't escape with his own strength. He saw that Levi was powerful, so he came to seek refuge. They seemed to be surrounded. Levi looked at the auction house in front of him. Because of Luffy's beating of the celestial dragons, all the remaining marines on the island gathered here. They also knew that this place was dangerous, but with the celestial dragons inside, they did not dare to escape. I'll deal with them right now. When Apu saw Levi stopped, he tried to show off with a wink. He knew that he was a new member and needed to put in a little more effort. A marine officer held a loudspeaker and shouted into the auction house. When the door of the auction house opened, Straw Hat Crew walked out of the auction house. It's so noisy. I'll deal with you right now. Luffy shook his rubber hand and punched the marine officer. Although these marines are the elite of the New World, they are still not enough to deal with a big pirate like Luffy, whose bounty is worth hundreds of millions. They were eliminated in the blink of an eye. Mr. Levi, why are you here? Yishao said in shock. After Yishao got Levi's order, he followed Marine, who was escorting Ace, all the way to the Sabayati archipelago. Because of Yishao's outstanding strength, he is the only one who calls Levi sir. Mr. Levi, it's really great that you are here. You have noticed it, right? Now the two admirals, Kizaru and Aokiji, have arrived on the island, and Akainu and the Marine Army are gradually approaching here. Yishao said to Levi said. Yishao knew that Levi's observation haki was not inferior to him or even stronger than him. Now he could feel Akainu's army slowly arriving. If they didn't leave, they might have to fight a big battle with Marine. Yishao, do you mean to let me escape? Levi asked. Although it is detrimental to your reputation, as long as you take these pirates away from here, this prosperous island can survive. Otherwise, under the admiral level of combat power, I am afraid everything will be turned into ashes. I smiled and bowed deeply to Levi. Yishao is a person with great love. As soon as he sensed Marine, he subconsciously wanted to protect the people on the island. After all, the Sabayati archipelago is a rare masterpiece in the entire sea. If it is destroyed, it will be really bad. It's such a shame. Yishao, I can understand your thinking, but the problem now is that the celestial dragons are dead. Levi said to Yishao. How is it possible? When the Straw Hats were fighting the celestial dragons, I was staring at them. The celestial dragons were not dead. Yishao said in surprise. He originally thought that Levi had unknowingly eliminated those celestial dragons. He used observation haki to sense that those celestial dragons were still alive. It's not this, there are dead celestial dragons on the street. Levi explained with a smile. In that case, if we escape, the Sabayati archipelago will also be destroyed by Marine. Yishao's brows knitted together tightly. He also felt that this matter was a bit difficult to handle. Please give me flowers, Zero. Aren't you the big pirate? We meet again. Luffy saw Levi and he shouted in surprise. Uncle, I am also a pirate with a bounty of over 100 million. Luffy shouted in surprise at Levi. Boo-hoo. A shrill sound came, and it turned out that another group of Marines were surrounding Levi and others. Rubber balloon. When Luffy saw a cannonball coming, Luffy's body instantly turned into a balloon. The cannonballs hit his stomach, and then all the cannonballs were bounced back. You dare to attack us, damn it. Zero. Kid became angry instantly. He took out a few coins from his body, and then the coins instantly turned into several white lines and headed towards Marine's artillery position. The moment the coin was shot into the artillery array, a mushroom cloud appeared across the entire Marine position, and the entire Marine artillery position was instantly destroyed. Room. With Luo's soft drink, an invisible space instantly covered a kilometer radius. Luo's sword demon cried out from its sheath, and then he lightly swiped at Marine who was rushing over, and Marine's head fell off within the scope of the space. Ah! My head! All the Marines screamed, their heads rolling on the ground, looking very horrified. Destroy them, little ones. Following Capone Bedge's voice, several small doors opened silently in front of him. West Blue's gang members were dressed in black suits and black sunglasses. They took submachine guns and swept towards the Marine in front of them. With a clicking sound, all the Marines were eliminated by him. Aren't you other supernovas? How did you get together? Nami was shocked. Unlike Luffy, who was an idiot, Nami found that except for Pony and Drake, all the new pirates had become an alliance. Because we are all Boss Levi's subordinates now. Apu said with a smile. Chapter 190 Meteorites falling from the sky, please customize, please order in full. As expected of Mr. Levi, Frankie and others were completely convinced. Frankie and Chopper also knew Levi, so they naturally knew how terrifying the man in front of them was. Luffy, I finally found you. Let's run away. Although I don't know what happened, one of the celestial dragons died, and they all said I killed it. Zoro didn't know how he came to the auction house. He hurriedly shouted to Luffy and others. What, Zoro, you actually killed the celestial dragons? You are indeed Zoro. Luffy's eyes flashed with golden stars, and he was obviously shocked that Zoro could do such a feat. Idiot, have you figured out the situation? Marine Admiral is coming now. Nami roared and punched Luffy on the head. 103. A big bump appeared on Luffy's head instantly. The entire Straw Hat Pirates fell silent instantly. Then let's run away. Chopper jumped up in fright. With all due respect, you can't escape now. Now Aokiji has frozen the entire port, and Marine Admiral Kizaru and Akainu have also come to Sabaody Archipelago. The most important thing is that this time Marine came 10 times. Thousands of people. Yishao interjected from the side. Marine is going to blow up the entire Sabaody Archipelago. Nami jumped up immediately. She already felt that her future was bleak, and it was terrifying to think about being surrounded and suppressed by 100,000 troops. According to the laws of the world government, only if someone dares to harm the celestial dragons, then the island harmed by the celestial dragons will be razed to the ground. Robin told Luffy and others. When she was young, the island Ohara where she lived was bombed by Buster Call. At that time, Marine only dispatched 10 warships, and it was Vice Admiral who led the team to bomb Ohara. Now there are 100,000 Marines, plus 3 admirals, not to mention a small Sabaody archipelago. According to this lineup, it is no problem to fight against the 4 emperors now. There's no way I'm going to fall down here. I'm the man who wants to become the Pirate King. Luffy held down his straw hat and laughed. Hey, we are going to fight Marine in the Sabaody archipelago, do you want to join us? Kapung Bej shouted to Luffy and others. Kapung Bej leads the entire West Blue. His strategic vision and overall view are second only to Levi. Although Levi didn't say what he was going to do, he guessed it. Want to fight Marine? That's really cool, Luffy shouted excitedly, and then he, Zoro and others also headed into the auction house. You are all here now, which means you are all willing to listen to my command. Now I have divided the entire island's guards into 5 parts. Each 2 people with a bounty of over 100 million will guard 1 part. Marine Admiral will be handed over to me and Mr. Yishao. Okay, do you have any questions? Levi looked around and asked. I have a problem. There are 9 of us now, 1 person is missing. Luffy wondered. I'm guarding a place by myself. Luo cried with Gui in his arms, and he said to Luffy and others without raising his head. Among these people, Luo's bounty is now the highest. According to Levi's estimation, Luo's strength is also the strongest now. So a few people started to draw lots. Luffy and Zoro, Kid and Kira were in the same pirate group, so they would naturally not be separated. Hawkins and Apu were in a group, and Capone Beat and Yorogue were in a group. They were allocating after that. They began to gather the pirates in their respective areas. The pirates who were originally running around like headless flies seemed to have found a backbone. They all moved closer to these supernovae, and thus 5 large pirate fleets were formed. Mr. Levi, I can deal with 1 admiral. Isn't it a bit reluctant for you to deal with 2 admirals by yourself? Yishao asked Levi. Marine Admiral is the most powerful existence in the entire Marine, and the combat power of each Marine Admiral is slightly better than that of 4 emperors. Although Levi is very strong, but let Levi fight 2 Marine Admirals at the same time, it feels like Levi it's a bit forced. Don't worry, there is an Admiral-level combat force on the island, and he will take action. Levi said mysteriously. Are you talking about Mr. Rayleigh? Yishao instantly guessed the person Levi was talking about. Rayleigh is a very mysterious person, and even Yishao couldn't see through him. Rayleigh's nickname is Pluton. He is a crew member of the Pirate King Roger's ship. He is the man known as the right hand of the Pirate King. With his strength, he will definitely have no problem dealing with an admiral. Levi said with a smile. I see. I didn't expect that Rayleigh turned out to be Pluton. It's really beyond my expectation. Yixia let out a sigh of relief. He was sure of the battle this time. It's interesting, I didn't expect that one of the Shichibukai bears is here. Levi laughed, and he also felt that as the sea surface was unblocked, nearly 1,000 marine warships were silhouetted on the sea surface. They are all surrounded by marine warships. On these warships, in addition to the powerful aura of the 3 admirals, Levi also felt the aura of the bear and wondered what role this double agent would play in this war. Then let me start the prologue of this war. Yishao smiled, and then his staff sword was unsheathed like lightning, and then his sword was put back again. Only Levi felt a strange ability breaking out of the atmosphere and flying towards the sky. Hey, what is that? It's too exaggerated. Whether it was a marine or a pirate, they felt their eyes dimming, and then they saw a scene that shocked them. There were more than a dozen flaming meteorites carrying long-tail flames and smashing towards Marine's warship fleet 0.2. Is this a coincidence? There was a hint of gloom in Admiral's heart. Now they couldn't let the meteorite fall down no matter what. 8-foot Go Changyu. Kizaru's figure appeared in the sky, and then the cross-golden light in the sky shot towards several meteorites like rain. In an instant, several meteorites were broken into pieces by him and fell towards the sea. Great eruption. Akainu let out a loud shout, and then a giant fist of magma flew down the sky, and all the meteorites were almost swept away in an instant. Only one meteorite fell. When the meteorite was about to fall towards the warship, a wave surged in an instant, and then the meteorite was frozen in the sea out of thin air. Chapter 191 Akainu kills CPO, please customize, please order in full. After Marine 3 admirals solved all the meteorites, nearly 1,000 marine warships surrounded the entire island with Sabayati Archipelago as the center. The densely packed warships began to march towards Sabayati Archipelago. All the residents were frightened. Shivering. Marine is coming. Fire. When the pirates saw so many marine warships, not only did they not have the slightest fear, but they all started to get excited. The pirates who dared to break into the Grand Line were all desperados who put their own lives at risk. There are no weaklings in the Sabayati Archipelago. Boom, boom, boom. The pirates' cannons began to roar. Their pirate ships were all specially made, and some of them had super long-range cannons. Moreover, they also occupied the entire Sabayati Archipelago defense fortifications, and the dark barrels of the huge cannons were constantly spitting fire. Looking from a distance, on the blue sea, bright red sparks bloom from time to time among Marine's warships. In front of Marine's warships, there are 15 Marine Vice Admiral who are constantly intercepting in the air on the moonwalk. Catching shells. There are a lot of acquaintances. Levi took a rough look and found that he knew people like Ghost Spider, Weasel, Bastille, Storoberry, and several tall giants called Vice Admiral. In addition to Marine Marshal Sengoku, Marine Vice Admiral Garp and Suru, almost all other Marine senior executives have left the current Marine Corps. Although the pirates' artillery fire looked fierce, their artillery fire was nothing compared to Marines'. When Marine reached the range of their cannons, with a salvo of Marine cannons, the entire Sabayati Archipelago the sky suddenly darkened. Escape. Avoid. All the pirates looked at this scene in horror. This was the first time they saw this scene. The cannonballs covered the sky and blocked the sun's brilliance. After that, flowers bloomed continuously on the entire Sabayati Archipelago. A flower made entirely of gunfire. Let's go to the shelter quickly. The pirates organized the residents of the island to move towards the shelter left on the island at that time. Levi looked at this war scene and felt a sense of irony. The originally just Marine now wanted to massacre the civilians they had always protected. Pirates, who had always been regarded as a cancer, now began to play the role of protectors. Every one of the Marines, stop the bombardment immediately. If you don't stop, I will kill this noble celestial dragons. If the celestial dragons are killed by the Marine bombardment, you will also be very troubled. Capone Beige stood on his boat and shouted loudly to Marine. As he shouted, the cannonballs that were originally covering the sky stopped, and all Marines' eyes turned to Akainu, who was responsible for this operation. Commander. Those are fake celestial dragons. They are pirates' plan to delay us. Keep firing. Akainu's voice deepened. No, those are the real celestial dragons. They can't fire cannons. No matter what the pirates ask for, they will agree to it. Nothing can happen to the celestial dragons. As soon as Akainu finished speaking, a man wearing a white suit and a white mask interrupted. That's the palace of Roswader and Shalulia. I won't admit it. The masked man continued. Now I am the commander-in-chief of this operation. Please don't point fingers in front of me. Akainu's expression darkened. He had no good impression of these CPO guys. But I'm not Marine, you have no right to command me. What's more, the main mission this time is to rescue the living celestial dragons first, and then execute the Buster Call. Don't change the order, Akainu. That masked man looked at Akainu mockingly, he didn't take Shi-Inu seriously at all. Akainu said nothing after that, and then he walked towards the office. Behind him, more than a dozen CPO members in white followed Akainu. In the office, Aokiji is sleeping with an eye mask on, while Kizaru is still sipping tea leisurely. Akainu, no matter what method you use, you must ensure the safety of Lord Celestial Dragons. The leader of the CPO was still chattering in Akainu's ear. There is no need to negotiate. I will not negotiate terms with pirates. These pirates must all be eliminated. They are all evil on this sea. Akainu said decisively. In this case, I can only report this matter to the 5 elders and Master Yimu. The CPO sneered and took out the phone bug from his arms. I'm afraid you won't have this chance. Akainu's tone was full of murderous intent. The masked man looked down at his body. A big handful of lava had penetrated his body, and he fell down without saying a word. When the other CPOs saw their leader fall, they were about to escape, but an invisible ice froze them all to the ground. Golden flashes of light flew towards these ice sculptures like raindrops. After the flash, all traces of the CPU disappeared. You are so decisive, Kai Shu. But how are you going to pass the 10 levels of 5 elders next? Dong Yuan asked leisurely. The CPO has lurked in the Sabayati archipelago. They were all killed by Pirate 763. What does it have to do with me, Akainu? Akainu said seriously. Even Aokiji took off his blindfold. This was the first time he saw Akainu with such a cunning side. He always thought Akainu was a very upright soldier. This is inconsistent with your character, Akainu. Kizaru laughed. But if you really attack celestial dragons regardless of their life or death, it will leave a mark. Kizaru, you can lead the pacifists to land from the side. Akainu said to Kizaru. Although Akainu is not afraid of the 5 elders, Sengoku is uncomfortable, and Akainu doesn't want to cause such trouble. Okay, then I'll go out and finish the work as soon as possible. Kizaru stretched and stood up. In his feeling, the pirates in Sabayati Archipelago were not good enough, and he didn't know Sengoku why send all 3 admirals here. Afterwards, the Marine's cannon flew towards the Sabayati Archipelago again. All the pirates were knocked upside down by the explosion. Except for the direction of Capone Beige, the pressure on the pirates in other directions suddenly increased. Retreat! Retreat to the island! The pirates were overwhelmed by the Marine's cannons, and they abandoned the pirate ships one after another and retreated to the island. Marines began to approach the port, and countless Marines began to land. Chapter 192. The pacifist appears. Please customize, please order in full. Countless Marines shouted and launched an attack on the Saboti Archipelago. This marked the official completion of the entire Saboti Archipelago's coastal defense line, and the pirates began to enter the island's defense battle. Although the number of pirates is smaller than that of Marine, they are all elites fighting from the 7 routes of the Grand Line. Their combat power is higher than that of Marine. Although Marine has more people, they cannot break through the pirates' defense. The entire battle presenting a stalemate. Rubber rubber. Luffy kept shouting, and every Marine was knocked away by him. Boom. A huge figure fell from the sky. Luffy just looked carefully and saw a huge figure standing there. This is the Tyrant Bear, one of the Shichibukai. Nami and others' pupils shrank tightly together. They had fought with the bear, and the bear's oppressive strength gave them a great shock, although their bodies were badly injured, but they knew that even in their prime, they couldn't do much harm to the bear. Why is it this guy? Luffy also shouted. Although he usually didn't know people, he was still very impressed by this guy. With just a wave of his hand, they flew away. At the same time, the faces of Kid, Luo and others who were fighting Marine changed drastically, and bears appeared in front of them. How come Shichibukai also appeared on this island, and there are so many bears? Luo frowned. In front of him, there was a long row of bears. Why are there so many bears? Yishao frowned. Although he couldn't see it, his observation haki had already enveloped the entire island. Under his observation haki, everything on the island was indifferent to him. Escape. These are the pacifists studied by Dr. Vegapunk. They appeared to deal with big pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. The cost of these guys is not cheap. Any one of them can be worth the cost of a warship, Levi said to Yishao. That's it. Dr. Vegapunk is indeed a scientist who was 500 years ahead of mankind. Yishao let out a sigh of relief and said, why does the bear, one of the Shichibukai, appear on this island now? The Sabayati Archipelago is a stone's throw away from Marine's headquarters, Marineford, and Mariejois, the residence of the Celestial Dragons. It won't be surprising to anyone who comes here. Levi laughed. Idiot, this is the pacifist studied by Dr. Vegapunk. How ignorant. A fat man with an axe smiled at Luo and others. Who are you? Babo asked doubtfully. I am Zon Taowen, the most tight-lipped man in the world. Zon Taowen touched his nose and said confidently. Didi, found the pirates, prepared to take action. The eyes of all the pacifists lit up, and a crosshair appeared in their eyes, and all the pirates with a bounty of over 100 million were targeted by them. After that, all the bears opened their mouths wide, and the sun's dazzling golden light waves swept towards the pirates. Boom. These golden light beams are extremely powerful. When the light beams shot into the pirate camp, the pirates were immediately blown away. The pirates' armament haki was unable to defend themselves. Okay, so strong. Babo and others looked at the deep pit, and he couldn't help but feel palpitations in his heart. The attacks from these guys are really terrifying. Room. A transparent space enveloped the entire pacifist, and then Luo's figure suddenly appeared in front of a pacifist. With Luo's ghost cry, the pacifist was cut into pieces by him. 2 halves. When Luo took action, Babo also attacked Marine. He rushed into Marine like a white afterimage, and Marines were constantly knocked away by him. Damn it, this bear is so nimble. The Marines gnashed their teeth at Beppo. Beppo's physical fitness was already extremely strong. When he was in Visalia, he also learned the 8 punches taught to him by the West Blue instructor. With his huge size advantage, he was really invincible. Captain is mighty. Babo and others were greatly refreshed, and they all shouted. They were originally shocked by the power of this pacifist, but Luo's behavior told them that these pacifists have nothing to fear. How is this possible? Zon Taomaru's eyes became dull. The materials used by these pacifists were extremely strong. Even the slashes of ordinary swordsmen could not harm them. However, Luo just swung his sword and killed the pacifists. Broken. While Zon Taowen was stunned, Luo had already destroyed the second pacifist. Only then did Zon Taowen react. He jerked. Then he jumped up high, and then pointed his axe at Luo slashed hard. The axe and Luo's ghost cry collided heavily, and as Zon Momomaru dragged the axe, a spark burst out from their weapons. Quote. Pacifists, all retreat. Zon Taowen shouted at these big guys. He didn't expect Luo's ability to restrain the pacifists so much. I'm afraid if the fight continues, all the pacifists will be destroyed by Luo. Zon Momomaru is the captain of the scientific team of the headquarters. He cherishes the scientific research results of Vegapunk very much. He felt extremely heartbroken when 2 pacifists were injured. Compared to Luo, Kid's ability is more damaging to pacifists. Under his magnetic fruit, pacifists are like a younger brother under his hands. As Kid walked by, sparks continued to erupt from each pacifist's body. The moment Kid's hand, Nuaoqianhao, was close to the pacifist, he used his ability to pull the pacifist's hand. The interior is destroyed. Although the pacifist's appearance is extremely hard, his interior is filled with extremely precise components, which will be destroyed instantly under Kid's ability.
Look at me making you kill each other. Amid Kid's ferocious laughter, a pacifist suddenly turned his head, and his eyes began to emit golden laser light. This golden light shot towards Marines' troops. After a violent explosion, all Marines were got blown away. Captain is mighty. All the pirates shouted loudly. Kid controlled nearly 10 pacifists. These pacifists continued to shoot laser light waves at Marine. These light waves caused horrific casualties to Marine. Marine had no choice but to do so. After retreating, the side Kid was defending took the lead in repelling Marines attacking Fox. Chapter 193 Kizaru lands on the island. A golden light flashed, and Kizaru's figure appeared on the Sabayati archipelago. Countless pirates had fallen beside him, and these pirates were completely insignificant compared to Kizaru. Kizaru, this is Marine Admiral Kizaru, everyone, run away. When the surviving pirates saw Kizaru, they all ran away in fear, and the entire port suddenly became empty. If Lousy can kill Marine Admiral now, then Lousy will soon become famous all over the world. There is no shortage of careerists among pirates. When all the pirates are running away, there is a one-eyed pirate who has quietly pointed the gun at Kizaru. Boom. When Kizaru tilted his head, a glint flashed in the eyes of the aiming pirate. He pulled the trigger in his hand without hesitation. After a gunshot, the projectile fired from his gun passed through Kizaru's head. Hit. Lousy will soon be famous all over the world. The one-eyed pirate who fired the gun jumped up happily when he saw Kizaru was shot. Did you fire the gun? You are so brave. Kizaru turned his head and smiled at him. There was no wound on Kizaru's head, as if everything just now was his imagination.
Impossible. I saw the bullet pass through your head with my own eyes. The pirate looked at Kizaru, who was unharmed, with surprise on his 940 face. Looking at Kizaru, who was smiling at him, he felt a little creepy. The pirate yelled, and then he dropped his gun and ran back. Brother, have you ever been kicked by light? Kizaru's figure appeared strangely in front of the pirate. Before the pirate could react, he was kicked into the house by Kizaru, and the house was immediately destroyed, smashed and trampled. The bear looked at Luffy and others with an indifferent expression, then he opened his hand and pointed it at Luffy, and a dazzling golden light was fired towards Luffy and others.
Luffy and others had already experienced the power of the bear on the terrifying three-masted ship. At that time, everyone in the rolling pirates was beaten by the bear and lost their combat effectiveness. Something seems wrong. Luffy and others were confused. The bear's move was a shock wave. When did it turn into a light wave? And his strength is much weaker than the terrifying mainship. Golden light waves exploded on the ground, and strong winds blew their clothes. Before the shock wave dissipated, Luffy's whole body had turned red, and he turned to second gear without hesitation. BFEC, when he first met a bear, he had never felt so powerless. Now that the enemy has appeared again, how can he endure defeat again? Bear, punch me. Luffy punched the bear with all his strength, and the bear didn't take a step back. Luffy's fist felt like it hit a piece of fine iron. It's so hard, it feels like fine iron. Luffy kept blowing on his fist, and now Luffy's fist felt bursts of stinging pain. Seeing that Luffy was suffocating, Zoro and Sanji also stood with Luffy. They were ready to attack the bear together. Rubber Bazooka, Mito Stream, Devil's Feet. The three of them launched their ultimate moves at the same time and attacked the bear in front of them. The bear's body was finally hit by them. The bear's body staggered back and then his body knocked down the building behind it. Then a wave of light blew up all the buildings, and a wave of light came out of the bear's mouth and headed towards them, but was dodged by the people who were on guard, and then Luffy and others swarmed up.
In the blink of an eye, the body was flashing with sparks, one of his eyes was broken, some lines on his body were exposed, and there were even traces of sparks flickering on it. It worked, we seem to have killed him, Chopper cheered. This doesn't seem to be a bear, it's a robot, Sanji frowned. Nami said. Yes, the bear is Paramecia's meatball fruit ability user. His meatball fruit is very powerful. These robots just have the appearance of bears, and their strength is nothing compared to the bears.
Isn't this Drake Rear Admiral? Kizaru wandered over. Now the entire Sabayati archipelago is in chaos. There are pirates and marines fighting everywhere. Where Kizaru passed by, all the pirates fell. I didn't expect you guys to have really developed this terrifying weapon. Your Kizaru Admiral's laser attack, coupled with the Shichibukai bear's terrifying defense, is really an impeccable combination. Drake did not answer Kizaru's words, he just said to exclaim the pacifist in the distance. At this moment, the pacifist finally spotted Drake, and then he rushed towards Drake. Roar. There was a terrifying roar, and Drake's figure instantly transformed into a huge dinosaur. His two giant claws grabbed the bear's hands, and then he bit the bear's head. When Drake bit the big bear, a golden light appeared in his mouth, and Drake was knocked away. When he got up from the ground, blood was already flowing from his mouth. Just now, a light wave was shot from the pacifist's mouth, and his mouth was injured. Drake roared again, and then he rushed towards the pacifist again. After Drake transformed, his strength became extremely terrifying, and his speed was also extremely fast. Drake stepped on the moonwalk and kept approaching the pacifist, and then he used his tail to whip the pacifist away. Drake drew out his four-edged axe and rushed towards the pacifists. His axe swung out with cold light, and the axe kept slashing at the pacifists who fell to the ground. Under his axe, the pacifists continued to be hit. Sparks flew and he chopped the pacifist into pieces.
You are not weak, Drake, but have you ever experienced the feeling of being kicked by light? A light appeared on the tip of Kizaru's toe, and then Drake's whole body was kicked and hit the mangrove tree. For a moment, the leaves were flying around. I never thought I could see the devil fruit planted by Zone in ancient times here. A smile filled with wonder. His observation Haki sensed Drake's transformation. This was the first time he saw this kind of devil fruit. Now that Marine and Admiral have landed on the island, let's prepare to take action. Levi said with a smile that he had already felt that Aokiji and Akainu had also landed on the island. The two of them were different from the lazy Kizaru. If no one stopped them, they would cause horrific casualties to the entire pirates.
Chapter 194: A Battle with Aokiji. Frozen Time Capsule. Every pirate was frozen into an ice sculpture wherever Aokiji walked. Behind him, a large army of Marine followed him. Marine Admiral Kid was shocked. He didn't expect that he would face Marine Admiral directly. He couldn't help but get excited. This was a rare opportunity. An evil smile appeared on the corner of Kid's mouth. He took out a coin and pointed it at Aokiji. Then the purple light in his hand flashed, and the coin was also surrounded by purple light. It looked very powerful. Call out. The coin turned into a white light and flew towards Aokiji quickly, penetrating his chest in an instant. The two-story building behind Aokiji was reduced to ashes. The white light continued unabated and turned into a shooting star on the horizon. As the coin flew away, the sound of the coin breaking through the air was heard. Kid's coin had exceeded the speed of sound. What an amazing move, little brother. Aokiji looked down at the transparent hole in his chest. Kid's blow just now exceeded his reaction speed. Lines of ice condensed on Aokiji's chest. Soon the hole was occupied by ice. When the ice dissipated by that time, Aokiji's chest had returned to its original state, and even his clothes had returned to normal. Logia's demon fruit power, it's really hard to deal with. Kid's brows furrowed. The attack just now was his fastest move, but unexpectedly it couldn't cause any damage to Aokiji.
Try this move, Aokiji. Kid opened his hands and laughed. The moment he opened his hands, several pacifists behind him opened their mouths. Golden light waves condensed in their mouths, and then the golden light waves moved towards Aokiji left. Everyone spread out, Aokiji said to the Marine behind him. As soon as he finished speaking, the Marines all ran away. When the light wave was about to hit Aokiji, Aokiji's figure disappeared into thin air. Boom! The light wave hit the ground with a loud noise, and then a large charred pit appeared on the entire ground, with traces of melting already appearing on the edge of the entire pit. What a tricky ability. When Kid was looking for traces of Aokiji, Aokiji's voice appeared behind him. Kid felt a chill, and countless metals gathered on his hands. When Kid was about to turn around and fight back, a ray of ice came from under his feet. Condensed, Kid turned into an ice sculpture in an instant. Captain Kid. The pirates all looked at the frozen Kid solemnly. When Kid fought against the pacifists, they all regarded Kid as a god, but such a powerful Kid was actually captured in one move by Marine Admiral. The scythe in Kira's hand was already turning in his hand so much that the afterimage could not be seen clearly. When the pirates were stunned with fear, Kira's figure rushed towards Aokiji. The rotating scythe cut towards Aokiji's body. The moment his scythe touched Aokiji's body, he was also turned into a ball of ice sculpture. As expected of Marine Admiral, really. Behind Aokiji, a gentle voice suddenly came. Aokiji looked back, and a blind man with a cane suddenly appeared behind him. His observation Haki did not sense it at all. Who are you? Aokiji asked. I'm just an ordinary blind man. My name is Yishao. I'm just a nobody. You've never heard of me. Yishao said modestly. Are you also a pirate? Aokiji felt that the aura of the blind man in front of him was unfathomable. It seemed that this guy should be very strong. He didn't want to fight such a troublesome person. It's not important. I just can't bear to see Sabayati Archipelago destroyed by Buster Call like this. I just came here to ask you to withdraw your troops. Yishao smiled at Aokiji. Aokiji frowned. You should know that if celestial dragons were killed on this island must be buried with celestial dragons. This is the decree of the world government. As the law correct laws should be implemented, but why should such wrong laws be implemented? You are Admiral, why do you still point to such wrong laws? Yishao advised. Yishao, it's useless to say more. If you can repel Marine, then the Saboti Archipelago can be saved. Aokiji blocked Yishao's words directly. Please give me flowers, after all, strength speaks for itself. Yishao sighed. He is not a person who likes to take action, but in this world, fists always have to speak. Freeze moment. A streak of pure white ice spreads towards Yishao under Aokiji's feet. Gravity Knife Tiger.
Yi Xiao's momentum suddenly burst out, and then he raised his staff knife to his chest, and a purple light wave emitted. Aokiji suddenly felt that his body became heavier, and cracks began to appear on Kid and Kira's ice sculptures. After that, Kid and Kira broke free from the ice and escaped. After that, Aokiji felt a lightness in his body, and his body instantly approached like a smile. Is this the devil fruit that controls gravity? Aokiji frowned. Afterwards, an ice blade formed in his hand to block the staff knife that smiled. Aokiji's ice blade pressed towards Yi Xiao, and streaks of ice spread towards Yi Xiao's body. He wrestled with Yi Xiao and found that his armament haki had no advantage at all against Yi Xiao. A purple light wave circulated on Yi Xiao's knife, and then Aokiji was forced out by him. Ice Age. Quote. Aokiji used his ultimate move on Yi Xiao. He stepped on Yi Xiao's foot lightly, and several stone slabs flew up under his feet. Yi Xiao flew up on the stone slabs. Run away. Seeing the ice spreading over, the pirates were frightened and backed away, but the ice and snow spread too fast. All the pirates were still running, and they were already frozen in place. Is this the strength of Admiral? Kid looked at the ice and snow world around him in horror. When the ice and snow spread, he used the ability of magnetic fruit to step on an iron plate and fly up. Now except for the two brothers, the other pirates were all wiped out by Aokiji with one move. Kid, you go to support other directions, leave this to me. Yi Xiao shouted to Kid in the air. Now Kid can no longer intervene. This is the Admiral level battle history. Okay, be careful, Mr. Yi Xiao. Kid carried Kira into the sky, and behind him, the figures of Yi Xiao and Aokiji were still fighting fiercely.
Chapter 195 Levi fights Akainu. Please customize, please order in full. I didn't expect that Sabodi Archipelago still has such a master. Akainu looked at Sabodi Archipelago from a distance. When Aokiji fought with Yi Xiao, he had already felt it. He originally thought that only Rayleigh was the strongest person on the island, but he never expected that a little-known blind man could have the strength of Admiral. There was a hint of haze in Akainu's heart. According to his plan, he was preparing for the three admirals to come together and eliminate all the pirates in a short time. The three admirals are the strongest combat power of the Marines.
Each of them has a heavy responsibility. Aokiji is now guarding Mariejois. Now that Aokiji has left Mariejois, if there is another pirate like Tiger, the probability of Mariejois being breached is as high as 80%. Kizaru is currently guarding the Grand Line. Because of his unparalleled maneuverability, he can continuously provide 167 reinforcements to the entire 7 routes. Now that he has left, the entire Marine branch is in an undefended state. As long as there is a bounty, hundreds of millions of pirates are active, so all the soldiers in the Marine branch are in danger. We must fight quickly. Thinking of this, Akainu flew towards the Sabayati archipelago. Now that Capone Bej is holding the celestial dragons hostage, Akainu can't do it directly. In that case, Marine cannot bear the wrath of the world government. Levi felt Akainu's actions, and he also stood up from his chair. Akainu is the strongest among the 3 Marine admirals, and only he can handle Akainu. Boss Levi. Levi's figure suddenly appeared in the position where Hawkins and Apu were guarding. Now Akainu was flying in their direction. According to Akainu's character, I am afraid that the two of them would be beaten to death by Akainu as soon as they met. You all go support Luo and the Straw Hat crew, leave this to me. Levi said with a smile. After Hawkins and Apu heard Levi's words, he led the pirates away. They all knew Levi's strength. As long as he didn't want people to come over, no Marine could board the island. Levi, why are you on this island? Akainu's expression changed drastically. He and Levi fought against each other. Although it was only more than 10 years ago, Levi was just a teenager at that time. I am afraid that Levi's strength now is unimaginable. Now things are in trouble. Now Aokiji has been entangled by the blind man, he is entangled by Levi, and there is another Rayleigh on the island who has not taken action. The top combat power of the pirates is no less than that of the Marines. Coupled with those pirate supernovas, the pirate strength can already compete with the Marines.
This was not a good signal. Akainu frowned and took out his phone. Marshal Sengoku, the big pirate Levi is also on this island now. Now the situation has changed. He must tell Sengoku about this. Now whether it is a war or peace, it all depends on Sengoku's decision. Levi watched Akainu make the phone call quietly. He didn't stop Akainu. If Marine could retreat now, he would avoid a fight. Although he was stronger than Akainu, if Akainu wanted to escape, he couldn't stop him. There is no need to fight in a battle that cannot kill the enemy.
Levi, I want to see how much stronger you are. Akainu hid the phone bug, and then his body lit up. This was a sign that his lava fruit was fully stimulated. When his body lit up, Levi felt that the temperature of the surrounding air was already high, several times. Great eruption. Akainu's fist hit Levi. The moment he swung out his fist, a stream of red magma rushed toward Levi in a fan shape. His move was extremely powerful. When he swung out his fist, Levi's eyes there is lava everywhere it touches, and it seems that Zongguo's strength has also greatly improved in recent years. Interesting. Levi laughed, and then the lightning flashed on his fist. Levi punched out, and the thunder and magma in the sky began to collide. Looking from a distance, this scene was extremely astonishing. Purple thunder and red magma occupied the entire horizon. Opposite them, white ice also covered the entire island, and burning meteorites continued to appear in the sky. Falling down, the momentum was extremely astonishing. Now Luo and the others are heading in the direction of Luffy and others. Wind Cannon. Katsuho. Sakura Fubuki. Bai Jie San Ding. The people of the Straw Hat Pirates are constantly fighting with Marine, because Aokiji and Akainu started fighting, and Marines from both directions are coming in the direction of Luffy and others, because the bounty of Luffy and others is on the 11th rank low among the supernovas, not many pirates are willing to join them, so the pressure on them is increasing. Damn, there are more and more Marines. Luffy complained after defeating the wave of Marines in front of him. I really want to fight over there. Luffy sighed as he looked at the scene with frequent strange phenomena in the distance. Now that Marine's new charge has been repulsed, Luffy and others have a brief moment of rest. They have never experienced this kind of battle. In the past, they all fought guerrilla warfare with Marine.
Boom. A huge figure fell in front of Luffy and others, and gravel even shot into the faces of Luffy and others. Damn it. Who are you? Luffy angrily asked the fat man in front of him, covering the big bump on his forehead that was hid by stones. The man wore a red bellyband and carried a big axe on his shoulders. His round body looked particularly strong. Zon Momomaru, the captain of the scientific force of Naval Headquarters and the bodyguard of Dr. Vegapunk. After he was defeated by Luo, he took the pacifists away from Luo and Kid.
Wow, why are there so many Shichibukai? Chopper's eyes almost bulged out of their sockets. Behind Zon Momomaru, there were several figures lined up like the big bear they defeated. I am Zon Momoan, the most tight-lipped man in the world. The pacifists behind me are all secret, I will not tell you any news. Zon Momoan faced them with a stern look on his face. Said. Only then did everyone realize that these pacifists were not big bears, they were robots developed by Marine. The mouths of the pacifists behind Zon Taomaru have been opened, and dazzling golden laser light waves appeared in their mouths. Luffy and others felt bitter in their hearts. They had already experienced the power of the pacifists just now, and now a row of pacifists were standing here. They knew that they could never defeat them. Chapter 196 Rayleigh takes action, please customize, please order in full. Get out of the way. Luffy and others watched the light waves of the pacifists in front of them getting brighter and brighter. They all shouted loudly, and then they fled in all directions. Boom. There was a violent noise, and the place where Luffy and others were was filled with smoke and dust. Damn it, we're surrounded. Luffy and others looked very anxious at this moment. Marine's strength is too strong now, and they can't handle it anymore. Around them, Luo and others also encountered trouble. The Marine Vice Admirals had already targeted them. Several people and the Marine Vice Admirals began to fight with the supernovas. There were battles everywhere in the Sabayati archipelago.
The battle is really fierce. Rayleigh sighed. Now Rayleigh is in Shaki's bar. Behind them, the child's body is covered with bandages. Kami and the starfish are still beside him. It's all my fault. If I didn't run around, I wouldn't have been sold to the auction house. If I hadn't been caught in the auction house, then everyone wouldn't have to save me, and Marine wouldn't have been attracted. Kami cried because the pear blossom brought 15 rains. It has nothing to do with you. According to my guess, this thing was caused by that little guy Levi. Shaki squinted his eyes and laughed.
Rayleigh also felt strange. How could anyone dare to kill celestial dragons? But now he understood that there was nothing in this world that Levi did not dare to do. No, Kizaru went to Luffy. I'll go out later, otherwise Luffy and others will be in danger. Rayleigh said to Shaki and others, and then he walked out of the bar. Kizaru, he is Marine Admiral Kizaru. Robin shouted. A golden light flashed, and in front of them, a wretched middle-aged man wearing a yellow suit. Robin recognized Kizaru and she immediately screamed. Really, Mr. Kizaru, why are you here so late? Zon Momomaru complained to Kizaru. According to the original plan, Zon Momomaru's pacifists acted together with Kizaru. Because Kizaru got lost on the way, he lost Kizaru's protection. Several of the pacifists were destroyed by Luo and Kid. Zon Momomaru had a hunch, I'm afraid. This time he will write a review when he goes back. 8-foot mirror. A golden circle Madara appeared in front of Kizaru, and then a dazzling golden light beam shot towards Luffy and others. When he came to Luffy and others, he didn't talk nonsense at all, and directly killed Luffy and others. Kizaru's attack was so fast that Luffy and others were hit by Kizaru's light before they could see Kizaru's attack clearly. These lights were extremely fast and powerful. Luffy and others felt that they had been hit by Sea Kings. Usually, their blood spurts out in an instant. They were seriously injured by Kizaru's blow. Have you ever felt what it feels like to be kicked by light? Kizaru asked with a smile. Then his feet became shimmering with golden light. As expected of Mr. Kizaru. Zon Momomaru watched all this excitedly. When Kizaru's footsteps fell, it would be the end of the Straw Hat Pirate's fate. At this moment, a figure rushed over, and a foot wearing slippers kicked Kizaru's foot together. Rayleigh, I didn't expect it to be you. I've heard that you live in seclusion on this island. I didn't expect it to be true. Kizaru looked at Rayleigh and smiled. Their journey has just begun. We can't let you end them.
Rayleigh laughed, and the strong wind from their fight blew Rayleigh's white hair around. Raida looks handsome and confused. Tien Kong Yun's sword. Kizaru rubbed his hands together, and then a long sword made entirely of light appeared in Kizaru's hand.
Kizaru's lightsaber slashed towards Rayleigh, and at the moment when their swords clashed, everyone was blinded by the strong wind. Thank you, Uncle. Luffy and others took the opportunity to disperse and escape. Pacifists, chase them quickly, don't let them escape. Seeing this, Zon Momomaru hurriedly ordered to chase after Straw Hat and others. Usopp's slingshot opened, and then he fired a bullet that landed at Zon Taowen's feet. A white smoke bomb exploded at his feet, and Zon Taowen's sight was obscured. Well done, Usopp. Sanji praised Usopp, and at the same time, their pace became faster. Straw Hat, you can't escape. You are the weakest supernova I have ever seen, far worse than Trafalgar Law. Zon Momomaru jumped directly in front of Luffy. The moment Zon Taowen said these words, Luffy became completely angry, his eyes were full of anger, and his fists hit Zon Taowen's body like raindrops. Facing Luffy's attack, Zon Momomaru did not dodge. He swung his palm at Luffy, and Luffy was instantly knocked away by him. Afterwards, Zon Tumaru stepped on the air and continued to chase Luffy. Before Luffy even landed, he punched Luffy again. Walking alone, Zon Taowen stepped on the air and beat Luffy continuously. Although Zon Taowen was fat, his speed was not slow at all.
It hurts so much. This guy's moves are so weird. Luffy's body is made of rubber, and he has extraordinary resistance to ordinary blunt blows, but in 563, under Zon Momomaru's fist, Luffy felt very painful. Although it was not as good as his grandfather's fist, it still hurt. At this moment, other pacifists also chased after them. As several light waves came out of their mouths, Brook's sword went towards the pacifist's mouth. The pacifist's head tilted slightly, and Brook's entire body was hit by light waves, and he was instantly knocked out, with all the bones in his body cracked.
Brook! Chopper yelled, then he ran after Brook. Three-sword style, gorgeous and devilish night sleepless ghost slaying. The light waves of other pacifists came towards Chopper, but were chopped into pieces by Zoro's three-sword style. At the same time, Zoro's body was also scarred by the laser, and he had lost his combat effectiveness. Zoro! Luffy yelled shrilly. Do you still care about others at this time? Zon Taomaru sneered, and then his huge body jumped up high, and then his axe slashed hard at Luffy and others. Room. At this moment, with Luo's soft drink, Luffy and others disappeared in front of Zon Taomaru. Luo used his ability to move Luffy and others away. Chapter 197. The end of the battle. Please customize, please order in full. We escaped. Luffy's face was full of disbelief. He looked back and saw that they had now left the battlefield. Luo and Zon Momomaru were fighting together. The moment Luffy turned back, he saw an unforgettable scene. With the flick of Luo's ghost cry, several pacifists were split into two in an instant under Luo's knife. So strong. Chopper exclaimed that Luo had managed the Drum Kingdom for a period of time, so Chopper was no stranger to Luo. In his impression, Luo was a very amiable person. This was the first time he had seen such a tyrannical side of Luo.
In front of him, the originally indestructible pacifist was chopped into several pieces by Luo in an instant. In front of him, even the vicious Jeanmaru turned into a younger brother. Run away. Luffy took a deep look at Luo, and he knew that one day he would reach this level. We are safe. Luffy and others kept breathing heavily in front of the sunshine. After a series of battles, they all felt exhausted. This was the first time they had experienced a battle of this scale. Although they were very tired, but still feeling very happy.
At this moment, a figure silently approached Luffy and others. Frankie was still looking up and laughing, but when he saw this figure, his expression suddenly changed wildly. Hey, Luffy, there are pacifists. Frankie's finger pointed directly at the figure. This guy had an extra Bible in his hand than the pacifist they met. This is not a pacifist, this guy is a real Shichibukai bear. Zoro's expression changed wildly. He could feel that the guy in front of him was much stronger than those pacifists. What? Chopper suddenly became furious. The bear's power had left an indelible impression on his heart. Zoro, if you want to travel, where do you want to go? The bear took off his gloves and came directly to Zoro. Mito stream. Cold sweat covered Zoro's forehead, but according to his temperament, it was impossible to admit defeat. Although he didn't know why the bear let them go last time, he would never put his fate on the kindness of his enemy. Zoro has gone through several battles, and his physical strength has long been exhausted. Before he has finished shouting his moves, the bear's big hand has already pressed down directly on Zoro's head. By the time the bear's hand touched Zoro's body, Zoro's figure had disappeared into thin air.
Zoro? Luffy shouted tentatively around him. Zoro, others shouted. Zoro is missing. Luffy was completely shocked. Zoro had been with him for such a long time, and when he suddenly lost Zoro's figure, he felt his heart panic. Hey, what did you do to Zoro? Usopp asked the bear. The slingshot in his hand was now aimed at the bear. After Usopp fired the bullet from his slingshot, the bear's figure suddenly came behind Usopp. After the bear waved his hand, Usopp's figure also disappeared.
Ah, Usopp. After seeing Usopp disappear, Chopper completely went berserk and turned into a 10-meter tall monster. Chopper actually became the strongest state without the help of the blue wave ball. At this moment, Chopper was completely irrational. He howled angrily, and then clawed at the body of a bear with his big hands. No, Chopper. Luffy let out a heartbreaking cry. He knew that Chopper was no match for Usopp, but now that Chopper had lost his mind, he would never stop. After the bear and Chopper slapped each other, Chopper's huge body was instantly slapped away without a trace. Big sanding. The long sword in Brook's hand stabbed the bear's eye, but just when his sword was about to hit the bear's eye, the bear's palm slapped Brook's body, and then Brook disappeared. It seems that Shichibukai Bartholomew Kuma has received orders from Marshal Sengoku. You can't save them after all, Rayleigh. Kizaru laughed after feeling the breath of the Straw Hat crew disappear. Rayleigh's heart sank. Now that he was in a state of physical decline, he could only barely resist Kizaru's attack. If he was asked to save Luffy again, he would really be powerless. Luffy, you can only rely on yourself for everything. Rayleigh sighed secretly in his heart, and then he started fighting Kizaru wholeheartedly again. Amidst Luffy's heartbreaking screams, his friends disappeared one by one. At this moment, Luffy was like a wounded lion. Quote. Stop it. An inexplicable aura emerged from Luffy's body. As this aura spread, the marine soldiers who were about to surround him were all dizzy.
Luffy's whole body turned red, and streams of white steam emerged from his body. This is Luffy's strongest move. Just when Luffy's fist is about to hit the bear disappears in front of Luffy's eyes. Farewell, Luffy. There was an indescribable tenderness in the bear's voice, which was extremely incompatible with his mighty body. With the fall of the bear's palm, the last soap bubble of the Sabaody archipelago burst. At this moment, the order to retreat came from the marine warship, and the marines in the Sabaody archipelago began to slowly withdraw their troops. Mr. Rayleigh, let's stop here. Kizaru smiled at Rayleigh, and then his whole body turned into a ball of light and disappeared. Okay. Mr. Yishao, I didn't expect that there is a strong person like you in this world. You have such strength, why don't you join Marine to do something more beneficial to the people? Aokiji heard the order to withdraw, and he knew that this was the Marine upper class changing their minds. The blind man in front of him had won Aokiji's respect with his strength. Yishao's observation haki is the strongest person Aokiji has ever seen in his life. His observation haki can even sense meteorites in the sky, and can even pull down meteorites from the sky. The big craters on the island now are the masterpieces of Yishao. Okay, I understand. Yishao smiled gently at Aokiji. Levi, stop, you won. Crane Vice Admiral appeared on the battlefield, and it was she who gave the order this time. Crane Vice Admiral, why is this? Akainu's tone was very dissatisfied. Chapter 198 The Frightened Luffy, please customize, please order in full. Now the strength of the top pirates is no less than ours. In order to ensure the rule of our marine, your combat power cannot be wasted at all unnecessary. Moreover, the celestial dragons have also agreed. As long as the living celestial dragons are released, they will not then execute the Buster Call on Sabaody Archipelago. Crane Vice Admiral seemed to be talking to Akainu, but Levi felt that Crane Vice Admiral's words were more talking to him. Levi, you release those two celestial dragons. We will no longer execute the Buster Call and withdraw our troops immediately. What do you think? Crane Vice Admiral said to Levi. Crane Vice Admiral, you are the one who started the war. If you say you won't fight, you won't fight. Isn't it a bit childish? Levi asked with a smile. Yes, we will never agree. As soon as Levi's voice fell, the pirates behind him began to shout. Seeing Marine deflated, each of them felt very happy. Levi, stop this meaningless war. Both of us have suffered enough casualties. Even if all the Marines and pirates present are killed, what's the point? Crane Vice Admiral said in a deep voice. Said to Levi.
What's more, I don't believe that the death of celestial dragons has nothing to do with you, Levi. Crane Vice Admiral gave Levi a deep look. On this island, this guy is the only one who has the courage. Levi looked back at the 240 pirates. Now all the surviving pirates are injured, even the supernovas are scarred. As for Marine, all the Vice Admirals are not much better, and even several Vice Admirals fell. Okay, I agree to your terms. Levi said to Crane Vice Admiral. After that, nearly 1,000 warships slowly evacuated the Sabaody Archipelago. The Sabaody Archipelago was saved with the efforts of the pirates, and all the pirates began to cheer. Crane Vice Admiral, the situation is now favorable to us, why should we withdraw our troops? Akainu asked rather dissatisfiedly as he listened to the cheers of the Sabaody Archipelago pirates in the distance. The situation just now is that Marine has the advantage. The three admirals have entangled Levi, Yishao, and Rayleigh, the three top combat powers, and the rising pirate stars have been blocked by the vice admirals. The pacifists are in an invincible state. Yes, Akainu believes that as long as he is given 3 more days, he will definitely be able to kill all the pirates in Sabaody Archipelago. Akainu, don't forget our next plan. That plan is the top priority. We can't waste too much energy here, otherwise our next plan may fail. Crane Vice Admiral looked at him seriously. Akainu. Are you talking about Ace? Akainu didn't speak anymore. He just stood side by side with Crane Vice Admiral. The next day, a piece of news spread in the newspapers and shocked the whole world. Under the leadership of the great pirate Levi, the new pirate stars of Sabayati Archipelago started a showdown with 3 admirals and nearly 100,000 marines in Sabayati Archipelago. After 2 days of fighting, there was no winner in the end.
As soon as this news came out, the whole world was shocked. After this battle, the bounty of each of these supernovas has made a qualitative leap. Even the bounty of Luffy, who was beaten by a bear, has also increased. The next day, the pirates who had experienced a night of carnival also embarked on their own journeys again. Everyone had their own adventure. After experiencing a short period of joy, each pirate group set sail again. This is a pirate. Levi sighed as she stood on Nine Snakes' big ship. During their battle, Hancock had already received the news, so she led all the Nine Snakes warriors towards the Sabayati Archipelago.
Let's go back to Hancock. Levi looked at the delicate man next to him and laughed. Now that the big battle is over, the next step is to train the newcomers. Are they all here, Hancock? Levi asked. Now that Bartolomeo and Kuina have arrived, Van Oka said that he has his own experience. Hancock said to BFDF Levi. As the Nine Snakes ship gradually left, the Battle of Sabayati Archipelago came to a complete end. Sister, a strange species fell off our island. It seems to be a man. As soon as Levi and others landed, a female warrior rushed over and reported to Hancock. What? Didn't I tell you that except Master Levi, no other male creatures can appear on this island? Hancock frowned, and an invisible majesty radiated from her body. Now Hancock, there is a majesty belonging to the Emperor. Sister, that man fell from the sky. The female warrior stammered. Although she also felt it was unbelievable, this was the reality. That's where he fell. The female warrior pointed to the big hole in the ground and said to Levi and Hancock. This large pit is half a meter deep. From a distance, it looks like an enlarged bear paw. Levi immediately knew who fell here. You terrible women, let me go. A loud roar came from a distance, and Levi recognized it as Luffy's voice. Uncle, why are you here? Luffy asked in surprise.
When Luffy was shot away, he realized that he was flying in the air without his control. Only then did he understand that Zoro and others were not beaten to death. They, like him, had no idea they were shot away by a bear. Where did it go? After Luffy flew for 3 days, he finally landed on this strange island. Now Luffy was wearing lace clothes and looked very cute. Behind him, a group of female warriors with small notebooks chased out. Sister. When they saw Hancock in front, they all hurriedly put away their notebooks and said hello to Hancock. In front of Hancock, these female warriors behaved as if they were kittens.
Saved. Luffy breathed a long sigh of relief. In the past few days, he has been watched like a monkey by these women, and these female warriors are extremely studious. They hold small notebooks, and they will record every move Luffy makes. Uncle, please take me away from this place quickly. This place is really terrible. Luffy pulled Levi's sleeve tightly and begged. He was almost going crazy from the torture. Chapter 199 Special Training and New Plans. Master Levi. A short-haired beauty in a white skirt ran out from behind the female warriors. She screamed excitedly when she saw Levi. Kuina, long time no see. Levi laughed. When he left Shimotsuki village, Kuina was just a little ghost. She had just begun to develop. Levi demonstrated the existence of sword intention for her. This was in Kuina's mind. It left an indelible mark on my heart. Because the battle between Levi and Koshiro destroyed the entire second floor of the Kendo Dojo, Kuina also avoided the fate of being thrown to death. After she became an adult and went to sea, she joined the Eric Guild. After half a year of struggle, she became Meet the famous pirate hunter from East Blue. Eric also increased his efforts to train Kuina. He not only taught Kuina how to use hockey, but also spent a lot of money to send Kuina to Wano-kuni for further training. Now Kuina is already a very famous swordsman. We heard that Mr. Levi wanted to train us, so we came over from East Blue non-stop. Kuina's little face turned red and she was obviously very excited. Training. Then can I join you? When Luffy heard that Levi was going to train Kuina, he hurriedly offered to join. After the battle at Sabayati Archipelago, Luffy discovered that although his bounty was not the lowest, his strength was the bottom one. When fighting against Zon Momomaru, Zon Momoa's words deeply hurt Luffy's self-esteem. Trafalgar Law and others could easily deal with the pacifists, but Luffy and others had to fight with the entire pirate group. Solving a pacifist, the gap is really too big.
Luffy has also heard of Kuina's name, but when Luffy went to sea, Kuina had already gone to Wano-kuni, so Luffy had not seen her. Come together if you want. After Levi finished speaking, he walked towards the back of the island. This island is where Amazon warriors are located. It is not the best training place. The training place Levi chose this time is the island where he trained. The island was full of beasts, and when he was bored, he took in a few beasts and taught them some hockey practices. After so many years, these beasts have become dominant on the island, and even the beasts above the sea kings are no match for them either.
Levi Senpai. After seeing Levi, Bartolomeo's eyes filled with tears, and he knelt down 50 meters and hugged Levi's thigh. Okay, stop making trouble and start training, Levi said to Bartolomeo. After that, during the following period, Luffy, Kuina, and Bartolomeo started intense training here. What? Did that idiot breed get impelled down after being caught by Marine? Levi exclaimed. He received a call from Baby 5, and Breed got the two powerful fire-breathing dragons and poisonous slimes. After the pet, he became a little bloated, and now he was finally caught. Mr. Levi, what should we do? Baby 5 asked anxiously. Let me handle it. Now you, Judge and Guy, hurry up and break up the pacifists. A new war will start soon. At this time, we need the power of pacifists. Levi said to the phone bug. Baby 5 said. Master Levi, make sure to complete the mission. Baby 5 assured Levi loudly. How to rescue him. Levi also had a headache. He couldn't make a big fuss about impelled down again, right? A person suddenly appeared in Levi's mind, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Moria, lend me Absalom. Levi got through Moria's phone bug. Absalom is a Paramesha transparent fruit user. When he comes into contact with others, he can make all the objects he comes into contact with transparent.
Levi saw with his own eyes that Marine's warship took Ace away. According to the development of the plot, Naval Headquarters should soon issue a summons order to Shichibukai, and Marine Vice Admiral Weasel should soon come to invite Hancock. This is Levi's opportunity. Moria readily agreed to Levi's request. Within a few days, Absalom came to report to Levi. It was obvious that he was very afraid of Levi. Absalom, I want to trouble you with something. Levi looked at him and said solemnly.
Please give me flowers, 0. Sir, please speak, Absalom said to Levi in a submissive manner. There was nothing he could do. When he came, Moria had told him that no matter what Levi asked him to do, he must do it. I want you to go impel down and save someone. Levi said to him. What? Impel down? Absalom was immediately furious. Impel down is known as an iron wall. In the entire history of Impel down, only the great pirate Golden Lion escaped on his own strength. Except for the other pirates, except for Debang World and Bullet, who escaped during the chaos when Levi was rescuing Tom, not 10 other pirates escaped. Don't worry, Absalom, I just let you sneak in quietly, and I will find helpers for you. You don't have to fight. If you are also caught, I promise you, I will go to the Grand Line to rescue you. Levi faced Absalom said. Since you said so, then I'll give it a try. Absalom gritted his teeth and said. I will not let you do this in vain. After this is completed, the Grand Disolo will be free for you for life. Levi said to Absalom, Levi will not use him in vain. Is this true? Absalom drooled. The Grand Day Solo is the world's largest entertainment city, where rich people from all over the world gather, and they endlessly enjoy various entertainment performances. Some people say that there are beauties of all races from all over the world on the Grand Day Solo. Absalom yearns for this place, but it is too expensive. Absalom has only been there once. Now after hearing Levi's promise, Absalom became ecstatic. Are you telling the truth, Master Levi? Absalom's saliva flowed into a river, and his originally panicky mood suddenly became ambitious. Don't worry, sir, I will definitely complete the task. This pervert slapped his chest until it made a clanging sound.
Okay, you stay here for a few days, and I will let you know when the time is right, Levi said to Absalom. Chapter 200 Shichibukai's summoning order is expected by Levi. Less than 3 days after arriving at Absalom, Marine's warship also arrived at Nine Snake Island. This time, the leader was the Mole Vice Admiral, who came with Sengoku's summons order. Hancock had already received Levi's instructions. When the Marine ship arrived here, Hancock told Levi about the matter, and then she went to the shore to meet the Mole Vice Admiral. Pirate Empress Boa Hancock, first Marine Vice Admiral Mole, let's go to Naval Headquarters now. Mole was indifferent to Hancock's beauty, his tone was full of seriousness. I refuse. Boa Hancock raised his neck high, looking like a proud swan. This forced summoning of Shichibukai is an order signed by the 5 elders themselves. If you refuse this summons, this, 530, means that you have given up the title of Shichibukai. Are you sure you want to do this? Hancock slowly walked out, and now that the Marine soldiers saw Hancock's beautiful face, except Vice Admiral the Mole, the other Marine soldiers all looked at him with tears in their eyes. Have you finally shown up, Boa Hancock? The weasel's face was full of seriousness. What a glorious beauty this is. Is this the most beautiful woman in the world? She is so beautiful. The Marines kept spouting nymphomaniacal words, which made Mole feel humiliated. Please don't deprive me of my Shichibukai. Hancock looked pitiful, which aroused the sailor's desire to protect him even more. We are here to protect you. If you want to take away the title of Empress, then ask us first. Marines rolled up their sleeves and said indignantly. Their blood was already boiling with excitement from Hancock. It's really embarrassing to be led around by the nose. Mole helplessly covered his face. His subordinates were really embarrassed. All Marines are led by their noses. Now the captain of Whitebeard's second team, Fire Fist Ace, has been imprisoned in Impel Down, and he will be executed in a week. The execution place is at Naval Headquarters Marineford, so the Whitebeard pirates will definitely attack Marineford within a week. Now Marine,
headed by San Admiral, is ready to fight, and now you have only two choices, either to respond to the government's request, or to be deprived of the title of Shichibukai.
Now, please tell me your choice, Boa Hancock? Mole's eyes were full of seriousness. But I like the title of Shichibukai very much, but I don't want to take orders from others, so what should I do? Hankushu said to the mole with a pitiful look. Mole's hand quietly grasped the handle of the knife, and veins popped out on his hand. It was obvious that he was about to take action, but the marine soldiers behind him still looked crazy. Marrow mellow. Hancock made a heart shape with his hands, and then a series of pink light waves shot towards Marine's warship. The marine soldiers were petrified in an instant, leaving only the mole who had not been hit.
Has my charm decreased? Seeing that the mole was not petrified, Hancock couldn't help but doubt his own charm, but when he saw the dagger inserted into the thigh by the mole, she laughed. I see, are you using tumor sensation to divert your attention? Hancock understood immediately. You're going to start a war with Marine, aren't you? Weasel stared at Hancock calmly. Although his strength was not as good as Hancock's, he was not afraid at all. How is that possible? I'm giving Marines a warning. There are some things you shouldn't look at randomly. Then Hancock lifted the petrification of the Marine soldiers. The Marine soldiers just felt that they fell into a brief dizziness. They had no idea what was happening. Soldiers, you are all the elites of the Marine Corps. Show your momentum and don't let the pirates look down upon you. Mole shouted sharply at the Marine soldiers. Yes, Vice Admiral Mole. The Marine soldiers stood at attention and their eyes narrowed. Mole Vice Admiral, your arrival is too sudden. Now I am going to pack some things and will be back soon. After Hancock said this, she walked towards Nine Snake Island again. Luffy, Naval Headquarters is going to war with the Whitebeard pirates. Levi said to Luffy. What does this have to do with me? Luffy said in confusion. Then he saw Bartolomeo eating an extra piece of meat. He immediately became anxious and hurriedly joined the ranks of grabbing the meat.
The cause of this incident is because Fire Fist Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, was caught by Marine and will be executed next week, Levi said lightly. Ace? Is Ace going to be executed? Luffy finally reacted. He still had a mouthful of meat in his mouth. When he heard the news that Ace was being executed, he was immediately struck by this. What does Ace's execution have to do with you? Bartolomeo saw that Luffy was stunned, so he quietly speeded up his eating of meat. Luffy ate very quickly and was an opponent who could fight him. Bartolomeo, the name of Fire Fist Ace, has also been heard before. At that time, he was still a gangster in Logue Town. Fire Fist Ace is the most outstanding pirate in East Blue, but after he joined the Whitebeard Pirates, he reduced the signs of activity on this sea. Ace is my brother. Luffy said softly. He still hasn't reacted to the news that Ace was arrested. Ace is the most talented among the three brothers. Later, Luffy ate rubber. Fruit is still no match for A5.9s. Moreover, he met Ace in the Drum Kingdom some time ago. At that time, Ace and Luffy also talked. Ace told him that he was hunting down the traitor. How long ago, Ace was actually caught impelled down. I'm going to save Ace. Luffy suddenly jumped up, and then he was ready to rush out. How are you going to save Ace? Levi asked. I'm going to break the impel down and rescue Ace. Luffy shouted excitedly. Naive. Impel down Director Magellan has the strength of an admiral. How are you going to save Ace? Levi shouted at Luffy. Damn, I'm really too weak. Luffy hammered the ground with excitement. Although he knew Ace was caught, he was too weak and couldn't do anything.